The Christmas Cupcake. A Juniper Falls Christmas Romance. Written by Susanne Ash. Please like and subscribe. Chapter 1. Belle. The last customer left Rising Hearts Bakery 20 minutes ago, but I'm still here, wiping down the same stretch of counter for the third time. Through the front windows, I can see Main Street transforming into something magical. There are white lights strung between lampposts, wreaths on every door, and garland wrapped around the old-fashioned streetlights that make Juniper Falls look like it belongs on a Christmas card. I should go home. My apartment is only 3 blocks away, and the November cold is already seeping through the old building's walls. But home means silence and an empty refrigerator and the knowledge that tomorrow I'll wake up and do this all over again. Wash the dishes, sweep the floors, restock, and smile quietly when customers compliment Leah's creations without ever knowing I helped make half of them. The thought should bother me more than it does. I finish the counter and move to the industrial sink, letting hot water rush over my hands as I scrub the last mixing bowl. The familiar rhythm soothes something in me. The same way it always has. Soap, rinse, dry, stack. Simple. Safe. No one watching, no one judging, no one expecting me to be anything other than exactly what I am. Maribelle Hartley, the quiet girl who washes dishes and occasionally helps frost sugar cookies when Leah gets overwhelmed during the holidays. Except. I dry my hands on my apron and glance toward the kitchen door, listening. The building is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of carolers somewhere down the street. Leah left an hour ago, trusting me to lock up like she always does. She has no idea what I do in these stolen moments after closing. My heart picks up speed as I pull my recipe journal from my bag. It's a battered leather notebook I found at a yard sale 3 years ago. The pages are soft from constant use, filled with my careful handwriting and sketches of cupcakes that exist only in my imagination. Well, mostly in my imagination. I flip to tonight's recipe, Midnight Waltz. The name came to me last week while I was restocking flour, inspired by an old jazz song my grandmother used to hum while baking. Dark chocolate cake infused with espresso and a hint of cinnamon, topped with vanilla bean buttercream swirled to look like snowdrifts, finished with a dusting of edible silver glitter and a single crystallized violet. It's whimsical. Maybe too whimsical. But that's the point of these secret sessions. I get to create without worrying about whether anyone will like them, whether they're too fancy or too strange or too much. The chocolate batter comes together smooth and glossy, smelling like Christmas morning and my grandmother's kitchen and possibility. I portion it into cupcake liners, each one filled to exactly the same level because precision matters, even in secret. While they bake, I start on the buttercream. This is my favorite part. Watching butter and sugar transform into something cloud-soft and perfect. I add vanilla bean paste, the real kind with tiny black flecks that prove it's not artificial, and whip it until it holds stiff peaks. The timer dings softly. I pull the cupcakes from the oven, and the scent of chocolate and espresso fills the kitchen. They're perfect. Don't just right, no cracks, darker at the edges. I set them on a cooling rack and force myself to wait, even though my fingers itch to start decorating. Patience. That's something Leah taught me, back when I first started here 6 years ago. Good baking can't be rushed, Belle. Let things happen in their own time. I wonder if she meant more than just cupcakes. Finally, when they're cool enough, I fill a piping bag with buttercream and begin. This is where the magic happens, where flour and sugar and butter become art. I pipe careful swirls that rise like winter wind, building layers that catch the fluorescent light. Each one gets a different pattern, no two exactly alike, because even in repetition there should be uniqueness. The edible glitter goes on last, a whisper of silver that makes the cupcakes look like they belong in a fairy tale. I place 1 crystallized violet on each, delicate purple petals that Hazel Elliott grows in her garden and preserves every summer. She gave me a jar last month, not knowing what I'd use them for, just because she thought I might like them. She was right. I step back to admire my work, 12 cupcakes arranged on Leah's best display tray. They're beautiful. Better than beautiful. They're exactly what I imagined, which almost never happens. Usually there's something slightly off, some detail that doesn't match the vision in my head. But tonight, everything came together. Wow. I jump so hard I nearly knock over the tray. My hand flies to my chest as I spin around to find Leah standing in the doorway, still wearing her winter coat, her dark hair dusted with snowflakes. My voice comes out strangled. I thought you left. I did. Forgot my phone. She moves closer, her eyes locked on the cupcakes. Belle. These are incredible. Heat floods my face. There. I was experimenting. I'll clean everything up, I promise, I always do, and I use my own ingredients so you're not. How long have you been doing this? I swallow hard. Doing what? Creating masterpieces in my kitchen after hours. She picks up one of the cupcakes, examining it from every angle. The overhead light catches the silver glitter, making it sparkle. These aren't just good, Belle. They're extraordinary. They're nothing. Just something I do to relax. I'm already reaching for a dishcloth, ready to start cleaning up the evidence. I'll put everything away. Stop. Leah's voice is gentle but firm. She sets down the cupcake and turns to face me fully. Why didn't you tell me you could do this? Because no one wants to hear the quiet girl talk about her dreams. I don't know, I say instead, which is both true and a lie. Leah studies me for a long moment, her expression soft with something that looks like understanding. Then she picks up the cupcake again and takes a bite. I hold my breath. Her eyes close. Is it bad? Too much espresso? I thought maybe the cinnamon was. Belle. She opens her eyes, and they're shining. This is the best thing I've ever tasted. And I've tasted a lot of baked goods. Pride blooms warm in my chest, unfamiliar and terrifying. Really? Really? She takes another bite, and I watch her face carefully catalog every flavor. The chocolate is rich without being heavy, the espresso adds depth, and with that hint of cinnamon, it's like Christmas magic. She looks at me. What do you call it? Midnight Waltz. The name sounds silly when I say it out loud, pretentious even. It's stupid, I know. I just name them after songs or books or. It's perfect. Leah sets down the half-eaten cupcake and pulls out her phone. You're entering the holiday bake-off. My stomach drops. What? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely yes. She's already scrolling through something on her screen. The competition is 3 weeks away. You could do a dozen of these, maybe a few other flavors. Leah, I can't. Panic rises in my throat. I'm not good with people. Or attention. Or being looked at. You're good at baking. That's different. That's private. It doesn't have to be. She looks up from her phone, her expression earnest. Belle, you have real talent. The kind that could turn into something bigger than washing dishes and staying invisible. The words sting, even though she doesn't mean them to. I like washing dishes. Do you? Or do you just like staying safe? I don't have an answer for that. Or maybe I do, and I'm too scared to say it out loud. Leah crosses to the small desk in the corner where she keeps paperwork and pulls out a flyer. Look. The winner gets a feature in the Juniper Falls Gazette, a $500 prize, and the chance to provide desserts for the New Year's Eve celebration at the community center. She brings it over to me. That's exposure, Belle. Real exposure. I stare at the flyer, at the cheerful snowflakes bordering the text, at the words Holiday Bake-Off in festive script. My hands are shaking. I can't, I whisper. Why not? Because I'll mess up and everyone will see me fail. Or what if I put myself out there and nobody cares? I just can't. Leah is quiet for a moment. Then she does something that surprises me. She pulls out her phone again and starts filling out what looks like an online form. What are you doing? Entering you in the competition. Leah, no. Too late. Submit. She shows me the confirmation screen. You're officially registered as a contestant. Entry fee paid and everything. Horror washes over me. You can't enter someone without their permission. I can, and I did. She sets her phone down and takes both my hands in hers. They're warm, steady, and I realize mine are ice cold. Belle, I've watched you work here for months. You're talented and creative and you deserve to be seen. But you're never going to put yourself forward, are you? Tears prick at my eyes. I blink them back hard. So I'm doing it for you, Leah continues softly. I'm pushing you out of the nest because I believe in you. Even if you don't believe in yourself yet. This is crazy. My voice breaks. I can't get up in front of people and present cupcakes. I can barely order coffee without rehearsing what to say first. Then we'll practice. Every day after closing, if you want. I'll help you. She squeezes my hands. But Belle, you're doing this. You're going to show this town what you can do. I should be angry. I should demand she withdraw my entry. But underneath the panic, underneath the fear, there's something else. Something that feels dangerously close to hope. What if I fail? I whisper. What if you don't? We stand there in the quiet bakery kitchen, surrounded by the scent of chocolate and espresso, my beautiful cupcakes gleaming on the counter between us. Outside, the carolers have moved closer, their voices drifting through the walls singing about joy and peace and not being afraid. I take a shaky breath. 3 weeks? Leah's smile is radiant. 3 weeks. And Belle? You're going to be amazing.
Chapter 2. Dorian. The espresso machine hisses like it's personally offended by my existence, but I've been making coffee long enough to know it's all about the timing. I wait for the exact moment when the cream arises, golden brown and perfectly thick, then pull the shot. 2 minutes later, I'm creating what might be my best rosetta yet. The milk flows from the pitcher in a thin, controlled stream, and I move my wrist in that precise little wiggle that transforms ordinary foam into art. The pattern blooms across the surface of the latte, the delicate leaves overlapping in perfect symmetry. Hold that pose, I mutter to myself, already reaching for my phone. The morning light through novel Sip's floor-to-ceiling windows is perfect. Soft and golden without being too harsh. I position the cup on the dark wood counter, adjust the angle to catch the light just right, and snap 3 quick photos. The second one is the winner. You can see the detail in the rosetta, the warm tones of the wood, and just a hint of the bookstore shelves in the background to give it that cozy, small-town vibe my followers eat up. I'm editing the photo when Maggie appears beside me, her dark hair pulled back in a braid, a knowing smile on her face. Let me guess, she says. Instagram? Content creation, I correct, adding a subtle warmth filter. There's a difference. She leans against the counter, watching me work. And which customer ordered that particular piece of art? I glance at the cup, then at the empty cafe. It's Tuesday morning, mid-November, and the pre-holiday rush won't hit for another hour. This one's for demonstration purposes. Demonstration purposes. She's grinning now. So you made a drink no one ordered just to photograph it? It's called building a brand, Maggie. It's called wasting perfectly good espresso. Before I can finish editing or defend myself, her brother Andrew emerges from the back office, his expression set in its usual state of vague disapproval. He's been like this since Maggie hired me 2 weeks ago, polite enough, but clearly unconvinced that a social media guy belongs behind the counter of his precious bookstore cafe. Morning, Andrew, I say, keeping my voice light. He grunts in response, which I've learned is about as warm as he gets before his second cup of coffee. His eyes land on my phone, still open to the editing screen, and something tightens in his jaw. Busy morning? He asks, in a tone that suggests he already knows the answer. Getting there. I slip my phone into my pocket, the photo still unposted. Setting up for the rush. Right. He moves behind the counter, checking the pastry display with the focus of a man who takes his baked goods very seriously. I'm sure all those likes will really help when we need to restock. The comment lands exactly where he intended it, right in that soft spot between my ribs where all my insecurities live. But I've had years of practice smiling through worse. Actually, Maggie interjects smoothly, Dorian's posts have brought in at least a dozen new customers this week. People specifically asking for that place with the pretty coffee. Andrew makes a non-committal sound. Pretty coffee doesn't pay bills. There it is. The dismissal I've been waiting for since I started here. It's the same tone my father uses when he talks about my little social media hobby, the same undercurrent of "you're not serious enough" that's followed me from his kitchens in Paris to this small mountain town in North Carolina. No, I agree, forcing the smile to stay in place. But paying customers do. And if pretty coffee gets them in the door, I'd say it's doing its job. Andrew looks like he wants to argue, but Maggie cuts in with a cheerfulness that doesn't quite hide the warning in her voice. Speaking of which, shouldn't you be heading to the store for those supplies you needed? Her brother takes the hint with a sigh. Fine. But we need to talk about the holiday inventory later. We will, Maggie assures him. After you've had more coffee. He leaves through the front door, letting in a gust of cold air that smells like snow and pine. Maggie waits until he's out of sight before turning to me with an apologetic smile. Sorry about that. He's been extra grumpy lately. It's fine. I pick up the latte I made, still perfectly beautiful, even if no one ordered it, and take a sip. He's not wrong. I am basically just taking pretty pictures. Hey. Maggie's voice sharpens. Don't do that. Don't let him make you feel less than. But that's the thing. Andrew's not making me feel anything I don't already feel. He's just saying out loud what everyone thinks. That I'm all style and no substance, the influencer son of a famous pastry chef who never learned to actually cook. I pull out my phone, intending to finish the post I started, but the editing screen stares back at me and suddenly the whole thing feels hollow. What's the point? So a few hundred people can double tap a photo and move on with their lives? So I can prove I'm good at making things look pretty while Andrew's voice echoes in my head about how likes don't pay bills? I lock the phone and shove it back in my pocket. You okay? Maggie asks. Yeah. Just not feeling the post right now. She studies me for a moment, then changes tactics. You know what? Forget Andrew. He's protective of this place, and change makes him nervous. But you're good at what you do, Dorian. I wouldn't have hired you otherwise. You hired me because you needed holiday help and I was available. I hired you because you're talented. There's a difference. She pauses, then adds, you know, if you really want to prove him wrong, prove everyone wrong, there might be a way. Something in her tone makes me look up. What do you mean? She nods toward the community board near the door. See that flyer? The one with the snowflakes? I follow her gaze and spot it. It's pinned in a spot reserved for local events and announcements. The paper is cream-colored with festive red lettering and little illustrations of snowflakes around the border. Juniper Falls Holiday Bake OFF. December 14th at the Community Center. Show us your best holiday creation. Winner receives $500, feature in the Gazette, and the honor of providing desserts for the New Year's Eve celebration. A baking competition, I say slowly. And before you say anything, yes, I know you're just a barista. She air quotes the words with a knowing look. But we both know that's not true. Your father is Dorian Hayes. You grew up in professional kitchens. My jaw tightens at the mention of his name. That's exactly why I shouldn't enter. Everyone will assume I had help, that I'm trading on his reputation. Or, Maggie interrupts, everyone will see that you have talent in your own right. That you're more than just the guy who takes pretty pictures. The words hit harder than they should. I look at the flyer again, at the cheerful snowflakes and the promise of recognition. $500 would be nice, and the feature in the local paper would probably boost Novel Sip's visibility. But that's not what makes my pulse quicken. It's the chance to prove something. Not to my father. I gave up trying to impress him years ago. But maybe to myself. Maybe to Andrew and every other person who's looked at my Instagram feed and assumed there's nothing of substance behind the aesthetic. I don't know, I say slowly. Baking is complicated. For me. Everything worth doing usually is. She moves toward the back. Think about it. But for what it's worth. I think you'd surprise yourself. She disappears into the office, leaving me alone with the flyer and my spiraling thoughts. The morning rush starts with a trickle that builds into a steady stream of customers wanting their pre-work caffeine fix. I lose myself in the rhythm of it. Pulling shots, steaming milk, creating art that'll be gone in minutes but makes people smile. A lawyer from Elk Ridge orders a cappuccino and asks if I can make a heart in the foam. A retired teacher gets a latte with 3 pumps of vanilla and tells me about her grandchildren. 2 college students on winter break order matching peppermint mochas and take photos of them for their own Instagram stories. It's nice. Simple. The kind of work where you know exactly what's expected and can deliver it without the weight of legacy crushing down on you. But every time there's a lull, my eyes drift back to that flyer. Show us your best holiday creation. I could do this. Technically, I know I could. My father made sure of that with years of forced lessons in his kitchen, breaking down techniques until they were second nature. Creaming butter and sugar. Folding in egg whites. The precise temperature for tempering chocolate. It's all still there, muscle memory I've tried to forget but can't. The question isn't can I. It's should I. Around noon, during a quiet moment, I pull out my phone and navigate to the Juniper Falls community website. It takes a minute to find the holiday bake-off page, but there it is. The same flyer I saw on the board, now with an online registration form. I scroll down to see who's already entered. 5 names so far: Henry Caldwell, Sarah Peterson, Marcus Webb, Nina Chambers, and Maribelle Hartley. I stare at the registration button. I think about my father's kitchen in Paris. It's all stainless steel and precision, where a millimeter difference in temperature could ruin everything. Where perfection wasn't just expected but demanded, and falling short meant you weren't just bad, you were a disappointment. I think about the last time I tried to bake something for him. I was 19, home from college, convinced I'd finally mastered his chocolate souffle. He'd taken one bite, set down his fork, and said, "This is adequate." But adequate isn't enough, is it? I never tried again. But standing here in novel sips, with the smell of coffee and old books surrounding me, with Maggie's words still echoing in my head, I feel something shift. Maybe adequate is enough. Maybe proving I can do something, anything, beyond pretty pictures and famous last names is worth the risk of failure. Before I can talk myself out of it, I tap the registration button and start filling out the form. Name, contact information, brief description of what I plan to make. I leave that last field blank for now. My thumb hovers over the submit button. You doing it? Maggie's voice comes from behind me, hopeful and knowing. I'm doing it. I hit submit before I can change my mind. The confirmation screen appears, registration successful. We look forward to seeing you at the holiday bake-off on December 14th. Proud of you, Maggie says softly. Ask me again in 3 weeks. I lock my phone and slip it into my pocket. When I'm either vindicated or completely humiliated. You're going to be great. I wish I had her confidence. But as I go back to the counter, back to the safe routine of coffee and foam art, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Terrified, yes. But also alive. The afternoon passes in a blur of orders and small talk. I finally post that latte photo around 3, along with a caption about cozy winter afternoons and finding beauty in simple moments. It gets its usual engagement, hearts and comments and shares, but for once, I don't obsessively check the notifications. Instead, I'm thinking about what to bake. What to create that will prove I'm more than my father's son, more than aesthetic photos, more than the surface charm everyone sees. 3 weeks until the holiday bake-off. 3 weeks to figure out if I'm actually good at anything, or if I've just been faking it well enough that no one's noticed yet. When my shift ends and Maggie takes over the counter, I pull out my phone and open my notes app. I start a new list, possible bake-off ideas. It stays blank for a long time. But eventually, I write down one word: eclairs. My father's specialty. The thing he's famous for. The dessert I've watched him make 1,000 times but never mastered myself. Maybe it's time to try again. Not for him. For me. I lock my phone and grab my coat from the back. The walk up to my apartment above Novel Sips is short. Just a narrow staircase at the side of the building that leads to a door I still don't quite think of as mine. The space is small but comfortable. One room that serves as bedroom and living area, a tiny kitchen that's more decorative than functional, and a bathroom with a shower that only produces lukewarm water on good days. It's nothing like the places I've lived before. Not like the sprawling family estate outside Paris, or the sleek apartment in Manhattan where I tried and failed to make it as a food photographer, not even like the shared house in Portland where I spent 6 months pretending I was going to write a cookbook. But it's mine. Sort of. For the next few months, anyway. I drop my coat on the small couch and move to the window. From here, I can see most of Main Street with its decorated lampposts and wreaths on every door. I can even catch a glimpse of the community center where the bake-off will take place. 3 weeks. My phone buzzes with a text from my father. I don't have to look at it to know what it says. He's been texting me the same thing, in varying forms, for the past month: when are you coming home? This coffee shop experiment is getting ridiculous. I don't answer. I never do anymore. Instead, I open my laptop and pull up my father's website. The official one for his pastry empire, all elegant fonts and professional photos of desserts that look more like sculptures than food. There's a video on the homepage. Master Patissier Dorian Hayes demonstrates the perfect eclair. I've watched this video 100 times. Memorized every movement, every instruction, every dismissive comment he makes about amateurs who think choux pastry is simple. I press play. My father's voice fills the small apartment, precise and accented and utterly confident. The key to perfect pâte à choux is in the eggs. Too few, and your eclairs will be dense. Too many, and they will collapse. You must feel the consistency, understand the texture. This cannot be learned from a recipe. It must be felt. I watch his hands work, adding eggs one at a time to the hot dough, beating until it reaches that perfect glossy consistency that means it's ready to pipe. He makes it look effortless, like the dough is responding to his will rather than following the laws of chemistry and physics. Many people attempt eclairs, he continues, piping perfect lines onto a baking sheet. Few succeed. It is a test of patience, of precision, of understanding. It is not for those who seek shortcuts or those who value appearance over substance. The last line feels pointed, even though this video was made years before I started my Instagram account. My father has always had a talent for making everything feel like a personal criticism. I close the laptop. Maybe eclairs are a bad idea. I should probably make something simpler, something that won't invite direct comparison to my father's masterwork. Cookies. Everyone likes cookies. Or a simple cake, something approachable and warm and utterly unlike anything Dorian Hayes would deign to create. But that feels like hiding. Like proving everyone right. That I'm just the son who couldn't measure up, who ran away to take pretty pictures because real baking was too hard. My phone buzzes again. This time it's not my father but a notification from Instagram, someone tagging me in a comment on the latte photo I posted earlier. At Hayes Coffee, is this guy related to Dorian Hayes? The famous pastry chef? Same last name. And there it is. The thing I've been trying to escape, following me even here. I don't respond to the comment. Instead, I turn off my phone and toss it onto the couch. Through the window, I see the lights of Juniper Falls twinkling in the early winter darkness. Somewhere in this town, Maribelle Hartley is probably planning her bake-off entry. So are Henry Caldwell and Sarah Peterson and Nina Chambers. People who belong here, who have roots and connections and nothing to prove beyond their own skill. And then there's me. The outsider with the famous name and the pretty pictures and 3 weeks to figure out if I'm brave enough to try. I open the laptop again. This time, I don't play my father's video. Instead, I search for eclair recipes. Basic ones, beginner-friendly ones, ones that promise foolproof results and easy steps anyone can follow. I start a new document and begin taking notes, breaking down the process into manageable steps. Not my father's way, with its demands for intuition and feeling. My way. Methodical. Precise. Provable. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. Or fail spectacularly trying. Either way, at least I'll know.
Chapter 3. Belle. The cupcakes are perfect. I tell myself this 3 times while staring at the box on my kitchen counter, but my hands still shake as I reach for the lid. It's been 2 days since Leah entered me in the holiday bake-off, 2 days of staying up late perfecting recipes, 2 days of talking myself out of withdrawing at least a dozen times. This morning, I finally settled on a test batch. Winter's Whisper. Vanilla bean cake with hints of cardamom and orange zest, topped with honey buttercream and a delicate crystallized ginger flour. They're elegant without being fussy, festive without being obvious. The kind of cupcake that makes you pause and wonder what that interesting flavor is. The one that lingers just beneath the sweetness. At least, that's what I hope people will think. What they'll probably think is that I'm trying too hard. I close the box before I can second-guess myself any further and grab my coat. Maggie asked me to bring samples to Novel Sips this morning. She wants to show them off to the morning crowd. The idea makes my stomach twist, but Leah insisted it would be good practice for the actual competition. You need to get comfortable with people tasting your work, she'd said last night while I was cleaning up the bakery. Belle, you can't hide behind a kitchen counter forever. I'm not hiding, I wanted to say. I'm careful. Cautious. Okay, maybe hiding a little. The walk to Novel Sips takes 5 minutes, but I make it last 10, taking the long way past Memorial Park where the morning sun catches the frost on the grass. The town is coming alive. Shop owners are opening their doors, someone is testing the speakers for what looks like a caroling practice in the square, and the air is filled with the scent of wood smoke from someone's fireplace mixing with the crisp mountain air. By the time I reach Novel Sips, I've almost convinced myself this won't be a complete disaster. The bell above the door chimes as I enter, and the familiar scent of coffee and old books washes over me. I've always loved this place with the floor-to-ceiling windows that let in so much light, the dark wood shelves lined with books, and the mismatched armchairs that invite you to stay a while. It feels like someone's living room, if that someone had impeccable taste and an espresso machine. Belle. Maggie waves from behind the counter, her smile bright and welcoming. Perfect timing. We're just hitting the morning rush. My stomach drops. The rush? Don't worry, it's a good thing. More people to try your cupcakes. She gestures to the display case. Set them up right here, front and center. I clutch the box tighter. Maybe we should wait until it's quieter? I don't want to interrupt anyone's coffee. Nonsense. Maggie takes the box from my hands before I can protest further. Trust me, people will be thrilled. Everyone loves free samples. She opens the box, and I watch her face carefully for any sign of disappointment. Instead, her eyes widen. Belle. These are gorgeous. Heat rushes to my cheeks. They're just a test batch. The ginger flowers are a little uneven. They're perfect. She's already arranging them on a white ceramic cake stand, each cupcake positioned to catch the morning light. What are they called? Winter's Whisper, I say quietly, already regretting the name. It sounds pretentious now, here in the real world where people just want a good cupcake, not poetry. But Maggie lights up. I love that. It's romantic. Evocative. She steps back to admire the display. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to offer samples to everyone who orders, and you're going to stand right here and accept compliments graciously. I should probably go. Belle. Her voice is gentle but firm. You're entered in a baking competition. You're going to have to get used to people trying your food and telling you what they think. Better to practice now, with friendly faces, than on competition day with judges watching. She's right. I hate that she's right, but she is. I take a deep breath and nod. Okay. But if it's terrible, you have to tell me. Honestly. Deal. She cuts one of the cupcakes in half, revealing the pale golden crumb. Though I have a feeling terrible isn't going to be the problem. She takes a bite, and I watch her face the way I've learned to watch Leah's. I'm cataloging every micro-expression, every subtle shift that might indicate disappointment or confusion or that particular kind of polite lying people do when they don't want to hurt your feelings. But Maggie's expression isn't polite. It's genuine surprise, followed by something that looks like delight. Oh wow. She takes another bite. The cardamom. And is that orange? Just the zest. It's subtle, I know, maybe too subtle. It's perfect. It's like. She pauses, considering. It's like winter morning sunlight. Bright but gentle. She looks at me with new appreciation. Belle, you're really talented. The compliment makes me want to curl into myself, but I force a smile instead. Thank you. The door chimes again, and a cluster of customers enters. I recognize the 3 women from the farmer's market. They are deep in conversation about holiday shopping. Maggie gives me an encouraging look and moves to greet them. I stand awkwardly beside the cupcake display, unsure what to do with my hands. Should I offer them samples? Wait for Maggie to do it? Pretend I'm just a regular customer? Before I can decide, one of the women notices the cake stand. Oh, are those for sale? Free samples, Maggie says smoothly, rejoining us. Belle here is entering the holiday bake-off, and we're doing a test run. Winter's Whisper cupcakes, vanilla bean with cardamom and orange, honey buttercream. The women exchange interested looks, and suddenly they're all reaching for samples. I watch them take their first bites, my heart hammering so hard I'm sure they can hear it. Delicious, the first woman says. So light, another adds. What did you say was in these? I open my mouth to answer, but my voice comes out barely above a whisper. Cardamom and orange zest. You'll have to speak up, dear, the third woman says kindly. Maggie jumps in, repeating my answer with the kind of easy confidence I've never possessed. The women pepper her with questions. Where can they order these? Will they be available after the competition? Has Belle considered selling them at the farmer's market? I should be answering. These are my cupcakes, my recipes, my potential future. But all I can do is stand there, smiling and nodding while Maggie handles everything. This is why I stay in the background. This is why I'm better suited to washing dishes than running a business. The baking I can do. It's everything else, the talking, the confidence, the ability to stand in front of people without wanting to disappear, that I'm missing. The women eventually leave with their coffees and promises to come to the competition. Maggie turns to me with an excited smile. See? That wasn't so bad. You did all the talking. This time. She squeezes my arm. But you'll get there. It just takes practice. More customers trickle in over the next 20 minutes. Maggie offers samples to each one, and the reactions are overwhelmingly positive. A retired teacher tells me they remind her of Christmas at her grandmother's house. A young couple asks if I do wedding cakes. A businessman in a suit takes one to go, saying it's the perfect accompaniment to his morning coffee. Each compliment feels like a small miracle and a huge weight. They like them. They actually like them. But what if that's just because they're free? What if they're being polite? What if the judges at the competition hate them? I'm spiraling into anxiety when the door chimes again. Morning, Dorian, Maggie calls out. Running late today? Overslept, a male voice responds, warm and slightly raspy in a way that suggests he really did just wake up. Coffee emergency. I glance toward the door and see him for the first time. He's the guy Leah mentioned, the one with the social media following. He's tall, with dark hair that looks artfully disheveled, like he spent just enough time on it to make it seem effortless. There's an ease to the way he moves through the space, the kind of casual confidence I've never possessed. The kind that probably photographs well. He heads straight for the espresso machine behind the counter, barely glancing at the customers or the display. I might as well be part of the furniture for all the notice he gives me. Double espresso? Maggie asks. You read my mind. He's already pulling a shot, comfortable behind the counter like he owns the place. When it's ready, he takes a long sip and finally seems to wake up enough to notice his surroundings. His eyes land on the cupcake display. Oh, what's this? Something new you're adding to the case? My heart jumps into my throat. Free samples, actually, Maggie says, and I can hear the slight edge in her voice, like she's testing him. What do you think? He picks up a cupcake and examines it the way someone might examine a photo before posting it, turning it slightly to catch the light. Cute, he says, and something about the word feels dismissive. The decoration is pretty. Very Instagram-worthy. He takes a bite, chews thoughtfully, and I hold my breath. I mean, it's good, he says after swallowing. Solid vanilla cake. But it's kind of basic? Like, if you're thinking of adding these to the case, I don't know if they'd stand out enough. People can get vanilla cupcakes anywhere. He takes another bite, more analytical than appreciative. The flavors are safe. You'd probably need something with more of a hook to really get them selling. Each word lands like a small stone in my chest. Basic. Safe. Not enough of a hook. I feel my face heating, my throat tightening. He has no idea I'm standing right here. No idea these are mine, that I stayed up late perfecting the cardamom to orange ratio, that I named them after a feeling I can barely put into words. Maggie's expression sharpens. Actually, these aren't for our case. Belle made them. She gestures toward me, and I want to disappear into the floorboards. She's entering the holiday bake-off. Dorian's eyes finally land on me, and I see the moment of recognition. Not that he knows who I am, but that he's just critiqued someone's work right in front of him. Oh. He has the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. Sorry, I didn't realize, they're good. Really? I was just thinking from a commercial standpoint, you know? He offers an apologetic smile that probably works on most people. Competition is different anyway. I'm sure they'll do great. The backpedaling somehow makes it worse. It's fine, I hear myself say, my voice barely audible. You're probably right. I'm Dorian, by the way. He extends his hand, and I shake it briefly, his grip warm and confident. Everything I'm not. You're entering the bake-off too? That's cool. May the best baker win and all that. He doesn't even know my name. Maggie mentioned it earlier, but clearly it didn't register. Belle, I manage. Right. Belle. He's already turning back to Maggie, his attention shifting like I'm no longer relevant. So about the holiday drink menu. Did you want to finalize that today? Maggie shoots me an apologetic look, but I'm already reaching for the cake stand, carefully gathering my remaining cupcakes back into their box. I should go, I say quietly. Leah's expecting me at the bakery. Belle, wait, Maggie starts, but I'm already moving toward the door. Thank you for letting me do samples, I manage, my voice steady even though my hands are shaking. It was helpful. The bell chimes as I push through the door, and the cold morning air hits my face. I walk quickly, not really seeing where I'm going, just needing to put distance between myself and novel sips and Dorian Hayes and his casual dismissal of everything I'd poured my heart into. Basic. Safe. Not enough of a hook. He didn't even remember my name. The rest of the morning passes in a blur of hot water and soap suds. I scrub mixing bowls with more force than necessary, letting the repetitive motion soothe the jagged edges of my thoughts. Leah's in the front dealing with customers, and I'm grateful for the buffer of the kitchen door between us. I don't want to talk about the samples. Don't want to explain why I came back looking like I'd been slapped. Don't want to dissect every word Dorian Hayes said and figure out if he was right. Except I can't stop thinking about it. Cute but basic. I scrub harder. The thing is, I know my cupcakes aren't revolutionary. They're not molecular gastronomy or avant-garde fusion. They're thoughtful. Carefully crafted. Made with attention to detail and combinations of flavors that work together in subtle, surprising ways. But subtle doesn't win competitions. Surprising doesn't matter if people's first impression is basic. Maybe I've been fooling myself. Maybe these late-night baking sessions, this secret journal full of recipes named after songs and moments, are nothing more than a hobby. Something I do because I love it, not because I'm actually good at it. Not good enough to compete, anyway. Belle? Leah's voice cuts through my spiral. I look up to find her standing in the doorway, her expression concerned. You okay? You've been washing that bowl for 5 minutes. I look down. She's right. The bowl is spotless, and my hands are pruned from the hot water. Sorry. Just thinking. About the samples? She moves closer, leaning against the counter. Maggie texted me. Said they were a huge hit. Most people liked them. But I set down the bowl and dry my hands, buying time. But one person didn't. Said they were cute but basic. Said they need more of a hook. Leah's quiet for a moment. Was this person a professional baker? A pastry chef? Someone with actual credentials? He works at Novel Sips. I think he does social media stuff. So he's a barista with an Instagram account. His father is Dorian Hayes. The name feels heavy in my mouth. The pastry chef. The famous one. Understanding crosses Leah's face. Ah. And you're taking his opinion as gospel because of his last name? I'm taking his opinion seriously because he knows what he's talking about. Even as I say it, I'm not sure I believe it. He grew up in professional kitchens. He probably knows more about baking than I ever will. Maybe. Leah crosses her arms. Or maybe he's just a guy with opinions who doesn't understand that baking isn't about being the loudest or the flashiest. Sometimes it's about the quiet details. The subtle beauty. I want to believe her. But doubt has already taken root, and I can feel it spreading. What if he's right, though? What if my cupcakes are too quiet? What if the judges taste them and think exactly what he did? That they're nice but nothing special? Then they're not the right judges. Leah's voice is firm. Belle, you can't make everyone happy. You can't create something that appeals to every single palate. What you can do is make something true to yourself. Something that represents your vision, your style, your heart. But what if my style isn't good enough? The question hangs in the air between us. Leah looks at me for a long moment, her expression soft with something that might be understanding or might be pity. Come here, she says finally. She leads me to the front of the bakery, to the display case where her creations sit in neat, appealing rows. Chocolate croissants. Cinnamon rolls. Fruit tarts. Simple classics, beautifully executed. See these? She gestures to the case. Nothing revolutionary. Nothing that's going to win any avant-garde baking awards. Just good, honest baking. And you know what? People line up for them every single day. That's different. You're established. People trust you. They trust me because I trust myself. She turns to face me. Belle, you can spend your whole life trying to be what other people think you should be. Trying to make your cupcakes bolder or your personality louder or yourself more. Or you can embrace what makes you unique and find the people who appreciate it. What if there aren't enough people who appreciate it? What if there are more than you think? I don't have an answer for that. Through the front window, I can see Main Street filling with afternoon shoppers. People going about their lives, not thinking about cupcakes or competitions or whether they're enough. Maybe Leah's right. Maybe I'm giving too much weight to one person's opinion. But that one person grew up in the world I'm trying to enter. He knows what wins, what impresses, what stands out. And if he thinks my work is basic, what will the judges think? I should get back to the dishes, I say quietly. Leah sighs but doesn't push. Okay. But Belle? Don't give up on this. Don't let one comment from one person make you doubt everything you've worked for. I nod, even though I'm not sure I can promise that. Back in the kitchen, I return to my familiar routine. Wash, rinse, dry, stack. The rhythm is soothing, mindless. Safe. But even here, in the comfort of routine, Dorian Hayes' words echo. Cute but basic. Might need something more. By the time my shift ends, I've made a decision. I'm not withdrawing from the competition. Leah would never forgive me, and I'd never forgive myself. But I am going to start over. New recipe. Bolder flavors. Something that can't possibly be called basic. Something that will make Dorian Hayes, and everyone else, see that I'm more than the quiet girl who washes dishes. Even if I have to fake the confidence to get there. I walk home through the early winter darkness, my mind already spinning with possibilities. Chocolate and chili. Lavender and lemon. Something unexpected. Something that announces itself instead of whispering. My apartment is cold when I let myself in, and I turn on the small space heater before pulling out my recipe journal. I flip past Winter's whisper without looking at it too closely. That recipe is done. Sweet but forgettable. Cute but basic. I need something new. I'm 3 pages into brainstorming when my phone buzzes. A text from Maggie, "Don't listen to Dorian. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Your cupcakes are brilliant." I stare at the message, then type back, "Thanks. But maybe he has a point. Going to try something different." Her response comes immediately, "You don't have to change anything. You're already good enough." But that's the problem, isn't it? Good enough isn't the same as best. And in a competition, good enough means losing. I set my phone aside and return to my journal, determined to create something that can't be dismissed. Something undeniable. Something that will finally prove I deserve to be seen. Even if it means becoming someone I'm not.
Chapter 4. Dorian. The Juniper Falls Community Center smells like pine garland and burnt coffee, which seems about right for a small-town holiday event. I push through the heavy doors, clutching the email printout that summoned all bake-off contestants to this mandatory pre-competition meeting. Mandatory. As if we're preparing for battle instead of making desserts. Though given my father's approach to pastry, maybe that's not far off. The main hall is decorated within an inch of its life. Red and green streamers crisscross the ceiling, an enormous Christmas tree dominates one corner, and someone has hung approximately 7,000 snowflakes from the rafters. It's aggressively festive in a way that should be annoying but somehow isn't. That's Juniper Falls for you. Even their excess is charming. A folding table near the entrance holds name tags and information packets, manned by a woman with silver hair and the kind of smile that suggests she knows exactly what you're thinking and finds it amusing. "You must be Dorian Hayes," she says before I can introduce myself. "I'm Hazel Elliott. Welcome to the competition, dear." "Thanks." I reach for a name tag, but she's already holding one out to me, my name written in perfect script. "How did you?" "Small town." Her eyes twinkle. Word gets around when Dorian Hayes' son moves to Juniper Falls. Even if you are trying to fly under the radar. Great. So much for anonymity. "I'm just here to bake," I say, keeping my voice light. "No big deal." She hands me a thick packet of paper. Competition rules, judging criteria, timeline, and a waiver. Make sure you read the section on original recipes. We take plagiarism very seriously. The implication stings, even though I know she doesn't mean it personally. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Everyone assumes I'll just pull out one of my father's recipes and claim it as my own. I wouldn't dream of it, I say, probably with more edge than necessary. Her smile doesn't falter. Of course not, dear. Now, the other contestants are gathering in the main hall. Help yourself to coffee and cookies. She waves in the direction of the door and turns to greet the next arrival. I head into the main hall, scanning the small crowd. Maybe 15 people total are clustered in groups of 2 or 3. I recognize a few faces from Novel Sips. The retired teacher who always orders a vanilla latte, the businessman who tips well, Henry Caldwell holding court near the refreshment table like he owns the place. And there, standing alone near the Christmas tree, is Belle. She's wearing a cream-colored sweater that makes her look soft and approachable, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She's studying the tree with the kind of intense focus most people reserve for museum paintings, like she's cataloging every ornament, every strand of tinsel. I should go say hi. Acknowledge the awkwardness from the other day, clear the air. But before I can move, a booming voice announces, "All right, everyone. Let's get started." The crowd shifts toward a small podium where a man in his 50s stands with a clipboard. I recognize him from around town. He runs the hardware store, maybe? He has the look of someone who takes his volunteer duties very seriously. Welcome, bakers, to the Juniper Falls Holiday Bake-Off. He consults his clipboard. I'm Robert Maxwell, head of the organizing committee. We're thrilled to have such an enthusiastic group this year. 15 contestants. Our biggest turnout yet. Polite applause ripples through the room. Belle's hands stay at her sides. Now, let's go over the important details, Robert continues. Competition day is December 14th, 3 weeks from Saturday. You'll arrive at 9 a.m. for setup. Judging begins at 2 p.m. sharp. Each contestant will present their creation to our panel of 3 judges, explain their inspiration and techniques, and answer any questions. Belle's face goes slightly pale at the word present. You'll find all the rules in your packet, Robert says, but the key points are as follows. Entries must be your own original recipe, must serve at least 12 people, and must represent the holiday spirit. Creativity is encouraged, but so is deliciousness. Any questions so far? What about dietary restrictions? Someone asks. Should we account for allergies, vegan options, that sort of thing? Good question. Judges will taste everything, but we encourage you to note any common allergens in your presentation. We want everyone to enjoy the samples we'll offer the audience after judging. My mind is already spinning. Eclairs have eggs, butter, and cream. Pretty much every allergen except nuts. Should I offer an alternative? But that seems like hedging my bets, like I don't have confidence in my main entry. Now, Robert says, his voice taking on a cheerier tone, we also need volunteers for our holiday events leading up to the competition. It's a great way to get to know your fellow contestants and show your community spirit. Hazel appears beside the podium like she was waiting for this exact moment. Probably was. I'm organizing the caroling night this Friday, she announces. We'll need 2 volunteers to handle the refreshment table. Hot chocolate, cookies, that sort of thing. Any takers? The room falls silent. Everyone suddenly finds their shoes very interesting. Hazel's eyes sweep the crowd and land directly on me. Dorian, dear, you'd be perfect. You already know your way around a beverage station. Every eye turns to me. I force a smile. Sure. I can help. Wonderful. Hazel claps her hands together. And we'll need one more. Belle? You're always so helpful at Leah's Bakery. I'm sure you'd be marvelous. Belle's eyes go wide. Oh, I don't think. Perfect. Hazel talks right over her protest. You two can coordinate beforehand. Exchange phone numbers, plan the menu, all that. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. She's already moving on to recruit volunteers for other events, leaving Belle and me staring at each other across the room. This is fine. We're adults. We can work together on a simple refreshment table without it being weird. Except Belle looks like she'd rather volunteer for anything else, including whatever the high school music teacher is organizing that involves Santa costumes and possibly a goat. The meeting continues with more rules, more volunteer opportunities, and more reminders about originality and holiday spirit. I try to focus, but I keep catching glimpses of Belle in my peripheral vision. She hasn't moved from her spot by the tree, hasn't spoken to anyone, hasn't even looked in my direction. When Robert finally releases us with a cheerful "see you all at caroling night," the crowd disperses quickly. Belle makes a beeline for the exit. I should let her go. Should give her space. Instead, I find myself following her out into the cold evening air. Hey, Belle. Wait up. She stops, her shoulders tensing, but she doesn't turn around. About the other day, I start moving around to face her. At Novel Sips. I wanted to apologize. It's fine. Her voice is quiet, her eyes fixed somewhere over my left shoulder. No, it's not. I run a hand through my hair, searching for the right words. I didn't realize those were your competition entry. I wouldn't have been so blunt if I'd known. Her eyes finally meet mine, and there's something sharp in them I didn't expect. So you would have lied instead? What? No. This is coming out all wrong. I believe in honest feedback. I think it makes us all better bakers. Competition brings out the best in people, right? But I could have been more diplomatic about it. Right. She adjusts the strap of her bag. Well, thank you for the honest feedback. I'll be sure to make my cupcakes less basic. The word lands between us like a stone. So she did hear that part. I didn't mean, I try again. Look, basic isn't necessarily bad. It's just safe. I know. You said that too. She takes a step back. If that's all, I should go. I have an early shift tomorrow. Wait. I pull out my phone. Hazel wants us to coordinate for Friday. Should we exchange numbers? Plan what we're making? Belle hesitates, and for a moment I think she's going to refuse. But then she sighs and rattles off her number. I text her immediately, it's Dorian. For caroling night. Her phone buzzes in her pocket, but she doesn't check it. I'll text you some ideas, I say, trying to salvage this train wreck of a conversation. Maybe we can meet up beforehand. I'll bring baked goods. You handle the drinks. We don't need to make this complicated. She's already walking away. See you Friday. I watch her disappear down Main Street, her cream sweater bright against the dark evening. That went spectacularly badly. My phone buzzes. A text from Maggie, how'd the meeting go? I type back, fine. Got volunteered for caroling night. Her response is immediate, with Belle? How did you know? Hazel texted me. Said you two need encouragement to see past first impressions. Her words, not mine. I stare at the message. So Hazel's playing matchmaker. Great. We're just working a refreshment table. Nothing to encourage. Sure. Keep telling yourself that. I pocket my phone and head back toward Novel Sips. The apartment above feels especially empty tonight, and I'm not in the mood to be alone with my thoughts. But when I let myself into the shop, dark except for the security lights, I can't help thinking about Belle's face when I tried to apologize. The way she threw my own words back at me. The sharp intelligence in her eyes that I completely missed the first time we met. I was so focused on critiquing her cupcakes that I didn't really see her. And now she thinks I'm exactly what I've been trying not to be, another entitled chef's son who thinks his opinions matter more than everyone else's feelings. The worst part? She might be right. I pull out my phone and open my notes app, where my half-formed eclair recipe mocks me with its incompleteness. Choux pastry. Pastry cream. Chocolate glaze. My father's specialty, perfected over decades. What am I trying to prove with this? That I can copy his techniques? That I learned something in all those years of being told I wasn't good enough? Maybe Belle's cupcakes weren't basic. Maybe they were subtle, nuanced. The kind of baking that trusts the ingredients instead of shouting over them. Maybe I'm the one who needs to learn to see differently. I close the Notes app and open my messages instead, typing out a text to Belle. For what it's worth, I've been thinking about those cupcakes. The flavors were actually really interesting. The cardamom and orange. I didn't appreciate the complexity at first. I'm sorry for dismissing them. I stare at the message for a long moment, then delete it. Too little, too late. And probably sounds like more backpedaling. Instead, I type, I'll bring the hot chocolate supplies. Let me know if you need anything else for Friday. Professional. Neutral. Safe. Her response comes 5 minutes later, that's fine. 2 words. Not even a period. I've had warmer exchanges with my father. Friday arrives faster than I'd like. I spend the intervening days perfecting my hot chocolate recipe. I'm using real chocolate, not powder, with a hint of cinnamon and cayenne for warmth. It's the kind of thing my father would call pedestrian, but that I know people will actually enjoy. Not that I'm trying to prove anything. I'm loading supplies into my car when my phone rings. My father's name lights up the screen, and my stomach drops. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text, we need to discuss your return to Paris. This has gone on long enough. I don't respond. Instead, I finish loading the car and drive to the community center, where the caroling night is already in full swing. The square is transformed. String lights crisscross overhead, fake snow blankets the ground around a small stage, and what looks like the entire town has turned out in festive sweaters and Santa hats. Someone set up a sound system, and a group of singers is already warming up with Deck the Halls. I spot the refreshment table immediately. It's near the stage, covered in a red tablecloth. And standing behind it, arranging platters of mini cupcakes with meticulous precision, is Belle. She's wearing a dark green sweater and has a red scarf wrapped around her neck. Her hair is down tonight, falling in soft waves past her shoulders. She looks like she belongs in a winter painting, all soft edges and quiet beauty. I grab the supplies from my car and head over. Hey, I say, setting down the containers of hot chocolate ingredients. How's it going? Fine. She doesn't look up from the cupcakes she's arranging. They are mini versions in different flavors, each one decorated with the same meticulous care I saw in those first samples at Novel Sips. The silence between us feels heavy, loaded with everything unsaid from our last conversation. This is going to be a long night.
Chapter 5. Belle. I've rearranged these cupcakes 4 times, and they still don't look right. The mini versions of Midnight Waltz, dark chocolate with espresso and cinnamon, topped with vanilla bean buttercream and edible silver glitter, look almost too fancy next to the simpler peppermint chocolate ones. Maybe I should have just made one variety. Maybe I should have told Hazel I was sick. Maybe I should stop spiraling and accept that I'm stuck at this table with Dorian Hayes for the next 3 hours. Hey, his voice says behind me, and I jump slightly. How's it going? Fine. I don't look up, focusing intently on separating a midnight waltz from a peppermint chocolate. If I look at him, I'll remember the community center meeting. The attempted apology that somehow made everything worse. The way he looked at me like I was a problem he needed to solve. He sets down several containers of hot chocolate supplies on his end of the table, the fancy kind with good seals and matching labels. Everything looks professional and coordinated, like something from a cafe photo shoot. Of course. The silence stretches between us, awkward and heavy. I can feel him wanting to say something, probably another explanation of why he was just being honest or how competition brings out the best in people. I rearrange the cupcakes again. Those look amazing, he finally says. I don't respond. They're just cupcakes. Simple, basic cupcakes that probably aren't interesting enough for someone who grew up in Dorian Hayes' kitchen. The carolers start their first song, Silent Night, in surprisingly good harmony, and I'm grateful for the distraction. People begin drifting toward the square, drawn by the lights and music and the promise of free refreshments. I can do this. I can smile and hand out cupcakes and pretend everything is normal. It's what I'm good at. Being helpful, being invisible, being fine. The first customers arrive, including a family with 2 small children who make a beeline for the cupcakes. The little girl points at a cupcake topped with silver glitter, too shy to ask. Would you like one? I crouch down to her level, offering the platter. This one's called Midnight Waltz. It's chocolate with a tiny bit of cinnamon. Her eyes light up, and she carefully selects the most perfect one. It's so pretty, she whispers. Just like you, I tell her, and she giggles, hiding behind her mother's legs. The mother smiles at me. These are beautiful. Did you make them? Heat rises in my cheeks. Yes. For the refreshment table. They're almost too pretty to eat. She takes one anyway, and I watch her face as she bites into it. The moment of surprise, then pleasure. Oh wow. These are incredible. Thank you, I manage, my voice quiet. More people drift over, and soon I'm busy handing out cupcakes and accepting compliments I don't quite know what to do with. Everyone loves them. The peppermint chocolate are festive and delicious, and the Midnight Waltz, my risky choice, my secret pride, are the best cupcakes I've ever had. Each compliment feels like a small gift and a tiny exposure. Like I'm showing people something precious and hoping they don't crush it. On the other end of the table, Dorian is in his element. His hot chocolate setup looks like something from a magazine. There are 3 different dispensers, regular, dark chocolate, and white chocolate peppermint, an array of toppings arranged in matching bowls, and cups that actually coordinate with the red tablecloth. He's charming everyone who approaches, that easy smile deployed like a weapon. Making small talk, remembering names, probably mentally cataloging everything for his next Instagram post. This is incredible, someone tells him. Is this real chocolate? Of course. His voice carries that practiced warmth. Can't do powdered stuff. No soul in it. I focus on my cupcakes and try not to compare his effortless confidence to my careful whispers. Belle. Scarlett from the post office approaches, already reaching for a cupcake. I heard you're entering the bake-off. These must be practice? Oh, no. These are just for tonight. Something simple. Simple? She bites into a midnight waltz and her eyes widen. Honey, there's nothing simple about this. The flavor is so complex. Is that espresso? And cinnamon? Yes, and a hint of cardamom. It's exquisite. She takes another one. You're going to give Henry Caldwell a run for his money. The thought makes my stomach twist. Henry's been winning the bake-off for 5 years straight. His fruitcake is legendary. I'm not competing with Henry. I'm just participating. I don't know about that, I say. Well, I do. These are spectacular. She pats my hand and moves toward Dorian's hot chocolate station. I watch her go, then nearly jump when Dorian appears at my elbow. Need more napkins? He asks, holding out a stack. I'm fine. You're running low. I glance at my napkin supply. He's right. Of course he's right. He's probably been monitoring the whole table with that same analytical eye he used on my cupcakes. Thanks, I mutter, taking them. Your cupcakes are a hit. He leans against the table, casual and comfortable in a way I'll never be. Everyone's raving about them. They're just cupcakes. There you go again. I look at him sharply. What? Diminishing your work. They're just cupcakes. Why do you do that? Because if I don't say it first, someone else will. Because calling them just cupcakes protects me from caring too much when someone like him calls them basic. I'm being realistic, I say instead. You're being, he stops himself, running a hand through his hair. Never mind. Good. I don't want his analysis. Don't want him telling me what I'm being or what I should be or how I should feel about my own work. More customers arrive, and I'm grateful for the interruption. I lose myself in the rhythm of it, offering cupcakes, accepting compliments, watching people's faces light up when they taste something I made. This part 1 love. The giving, the quiet joy of feeding people. It's the attention on me that I hate, the questions about my process and my plans and whether I think I'll win. I don't want to win. I just want to bake. Around 8 o'clock, during a lull in the crowd, Dorian speaks again. So this hidden talent of yours, he says, gesturing to the nearly empty cupcake platters. Have you always been this good at baking, or is it a recent development? The words are casual, probably meant as a compliment. But they land wrong, hitting that raw spot that hasn't healed since novel sips. Hidden talent. Like I've been keeping it secret on purpose. Like it's something to be revealed and analyzed and judged. It's not hidden, I say, my voice sharper than I intend. I bake at the bakery every day. I just don't make a show of it. I didn't mean. I know what you meant. The words spill out before I can stop them. You think I'm hiding my light under a bushel or whatever. That I should be more confident, more bold, more. My hands are shaking as I gather empty platters. But maybe I don't want the spotlight. Maybe I'm happy doing what I do without everyone watching and judging and deciding if it's good enough. Belle. You asked why I diminish my work. I look at him, and I can feel tears threatening, but I refuse to let them fall. Because the moment you claim something is good, someone like you comes along and tells you all the ways it's not. That it's basic or safe or needs a stronger hook. So yes, I call them just cupcakes because it hurts less when other people inevitably do. The silence that follows is deafening. Around us, the carolers have moved on to Joy to the World, but it feels very far away. Dorian's face has gone carefully neutral, but I see something flicker in his eyes. Regret, maybe. Or pity, which is worse. I should go refill the cupcake platters, I say, even though they don't need refilling. Excuse me. I grab the empty trays and flee toward the community center kitchen, my face burning. Stupid. That was so stupid. I just vomited all my insecurities at him like some kind of emotional disaster, and now he probably thinks I'm not just basic but also unstable. The kitchen is blissfully empty and quiet. I set the trays on the counter and brace my hands against the sink, taking deep breaths. This is why I don't put myself out there. This is why I stay quiet and careful and safe. Because the moment you show people what you actually feel, they have power over you. And Dorian Hayes already has too much power over my thoughts. Belle? I whirl around to find Hazel standing in the doorway, her light-up Christmas tree sweater blinking in the fluorescent kitchen light. I'm fine, I say automatically. Just needed to breathe? She moves closer, her expression kind. Take a moment away from the chaos? I nod, not trusting my voice. Hazel pulls out a chair and pats it. Sit. Tell me what happened. Nothing happened. I'm just being silly. Silly is worrying about which shoes to wear. What you're feeling isn't silly. She sits across from me, her charm bracelet jingling softly. Does this have something to do with a certain young man at the refreshment table? Of course she knows. Hazel always knows. He called my talent hidden, I say, the words tumbling out. And I know he meant it as a compliment, but it felt like an accusation. Like I'd been hiding on purpose instead of just trying to survive. Ah. Hazel nods slowly. And you told him this? I kind of exploded at him. Said I don't want the spotlight. That I'm tired of people judging my work. I drop my head into my hands. I sound pathetic. You sound honest. Hazel reaches across to pat my hand. And honesty, while uncomfortable, is usually a good thing. He probably thinks I'm crazy now. I doubt that very much. Her eyes twinkle. In fact, I'd wager he's out there right now, thinking very hard about what you said. Possibly having a few revelations of his own. I look up at her. What do you mean? That young man has been performing his whole life. Being charming, being confident, being what everyone expects from Dorian Hayes' son. She tilts her head. And then you come along, genuine, vulnerable, unapologetically yourself, and it shakes his whole worldview. No wonder you're both so uncomfortable around each other. I don't think I'm shaking anyone's worldview. Don't you? Hazel stands, smoothing her sweater. Belle, dear, you have a gift. Not just for baking, but for seeing the truth of things. For creating beauty without pretense. That's rare. And it's threatening to someone who's built their entire identity on pretense. Dorian isn't, I stop. Is he? The social media, the charm, the constant need to prove himself. Maybe Hazel has a point. Come back when you're ready, Hazel says, heading toward the door. But don't hide in here too long. Your cupcakes are almost gone, and people keep asking for you specifically. I take a deep breath, square my shoulders, and head back to the refreshment table. The carolers are singing O Holy Night, and the crowd has grown even larger. Dorian is handling both ends of the table now, pouring hot chocolate and distributing my last few cupcakes with efficiency that suggests practice. When he sees me approaching, relief floods his face. Hey, he says quietly. I wasn't sure if you were coming back. I wasn't sure either. I move to my end of the table, creating that careful distance again. But apparently people want more cupcakes. They do. He hesitates, like he wants to say more, but I turn away before he can. The rest of the evening passes in careful silence. We work our respective ends of the table, occasionally helping each other when one side gets busy, but the collaboration is purely mechanical. Hand me napkins. I need more cups. Thanks. But I can't help noticing the small things, even through my anger. The way Dorian makes sure to save the last 2 midnight waltz cupcakes for the shy little girl when she comes back with her dad. The way he still compliments my baking to every customer, his voice genuine even if he won't look at me. The way his shoulders are tense, like he's carrying something heavy. Not my problem. He made his choices when he critiqued my work. When he called my talent hidden like it was something I was deliberately keeping from the world instead of protecting. By the time the event ends at 9:30, I'm exhausted in every possible way. The table is a disaster of empty cups and crumbs, and my feet ache from standing. I can clean up, Dorian offers. You've been here longer. We'll both do it. I start stacking empty platters, not because I want to spend more time with him, but because leaving him to clean up my mess feels petty. It'll go faster. We work in silence. Real silence this time, not the charged kind from earlier but something heavier. More final. The string lights overhead cast everything in a soft golden glow, making the mess look almost romantic. I focus on the crumbs, the sticky spots, the reality of cleanup instead of whatever foolish part of my brain keeps noticing the way the light catches in Dorian's hair. Belle, he starts. We're almost done. I don't look up. Then we can both go home. He's quiet for a moment, then returns to gathering trash. I can feel him wanting to say something, but I'm not ready to hear it. Maybe I'll never be ready. When everything is finally clean, we stand on opposite sides of the table, the empty space between us feeling wider than it should. Good night, I say, gathering my empty platters. Belle, wait. I'm really tired, Dorian. Can we just, not? He looks like I've slapped him, but he nods. Yeah. Okay. Good night. I walk away without looking back, even though some traitorous part of me wants to. Wants to give him a chance to explain, to apologize, to make this better. But I've spent too many years letting other people's words shape how I see myself. Letting criticism sink in deeper than praise. Letting just being honest justify casual cruelty. I'm done with that. The walk home is cold and quiet, my breath visible in small clouds. Main Street is nearly empty now, just a few stragglers heading home from the caroling event. The Christmas lights that seemed so magical earlier now just look like lights. My phone starts buzzing before I'm even halfway home. A text from an unknown number. This is Clara Langford from the caroling night. Any chance you'd be willing to make those mini cupcakes for my book club? The ones with the silver glitter? Happy to pay. Then another, hi Belle. This is Dylan Holloway. My sister tasted your cupcakes and wants to order some for her holiday party. Could you do 3 dozen? And another, Belle, it's Scarlett. Would you consider making cupcakes for the post office holiday gathering? Everyone's been raving about them. I stop walking, staring at my phone as more messages roll in. Orders. Actual orders for my baking. My throat tightens with emotion I can't quite name. Pride? Terror? Both? People loved my cupcakes. Not Dorian, he made his opinion clear days ago, but real people who tasted my work and wanted more of it. Who saw value in what I created, even if he couldn't. Maybe that's enough. Maybe it has to be. I respond to Clara first. I'd love to make cupcakes for your book club. When do you need them? Then Dylan, 3 dozen cupcakes? I can do that. Any flavor preferences? Then Scarlett, how many people at the gathering? By the time I reach my apartment, my calendar has 5 new orders, and my hands are shaking with equal parts terror and exhilaration. I pull out my recipe journal and flip to a fresh page. At the top, I write, December orders. Then, on the next page, competition recipe final version. I stare at the blank space. The cupcakes Dorian called basic are still my best work. But maybe I can make them even better. Not for him. Not to prove him wrong. For me. Because I know they can be more refined. More confident. More mine. I write, Midnight Waltz, revised. Then I start listing modifications. Not changes that scream for attention, but subtle improvements that trust my instincts instead of second-guessing them. More cardamom. Less sugar in the buttercream. Crystallized violets and ginger flowers for complexity. A whisper of black pepper to make people pause and wonder. Not basic. Not safe. Thoughtful. Intentional. Mine. I work until midnight, filling pages with notes and sketches. When I finally close the journal and turn off the light, I'm still angry at Dorian. Still hurt by his casual dismissal. But I'm also determined. I'm going to create something beautiful for this competition. Something that represents exactly who I am, quiet, thoughtful, careful with every detail. And if that's not enough to win? If the judges agree with Dorian that I'm too subtle, too safe, too basic? Then at least I'll know I stayed true to myself. Even if it costs me everything. I fall asleep thinking about cardamom and black pepper and crystallized flowers. About the little girl's face when she tasted my cupcake. About all the people who saw my work tonight and wanted more. Not thinking about Dorian Hayes at all. Or at least, that's what I tell myself.
Chapter 6. Dorian. The eclair shells are wrong. I've made choux pastry 100 times and I know what it's supposed to look like. Smooth, glossy, the right consistency to pipe. But tonight, everything I touch turns into a disaster. Too thick. Too runny. Too much like I have no idea what I'm doing. I scrape the latest batch into the trash and brace my hands against the counter. 2 days since caroling night, and I can't stop replaying it. The way Belle's voice shook when she said maybe I don't want the spotlight. The hurt in her eyes when I called her talent hidden like it was something she'd been keeping from the world instead of protecting. The way she walked away from me without looking back. My phone buzzes on the counter. A text from Maggie, you were a mess at work today. Fix whatever this is before you come back tomorrow. I stare at the message, then type back, working on it. Good. Belle's a sweetheart. Make it right. How do you know it's about Belle? Please. You've been moping since caroling night and she's been avoiding novel sips entirely. Not exactly subtle. Besides, this is a small town. I set the phone down and look at my disaster of a kitchen. Abandoned pastry bags, failed shells, recipe notes that lead nowhere. I came to Juniper Falls to prove I could do this on my own, without my father's shadow. But all I've managed to prove is that I can hurt people as carelessly as he does. Someone like you comes along and tells you all the ways it's not good enough. Belle's words echo in my head, and I feel sick. I've been dismissed my whole life. By my father, by critics who saw me as nothing more than a famous name, by people who think social media can't be real work. And the first chance I get, I turn around and do the same thing to someone else. To someone who's genuinely talented. Who creates with care and intention and beauty. Someone I'm starting to realize I care about more than I should, considering we're supposed to be competitors. I clean up the kitchen with more force than necessary, shoving ingredients back into cabinets and scrubbing counters until they shine. The work doesn't make me feel better, but at least it's something to do with my hands. I pull up my phone and open Instagram, scrolling to the Juniper Falls community page. There's a photo from caroling night. Front and center the refreshment table with its twinkling lights, and in the background, just barely visible, Belle arranging cupcakes with that careful precision that I now recognize as love. The caption mentions Rising Hearts Bakery, and I remember Leah saying something once about Belle staying late to prep for the next day. About how she's always there, even when the shop is closed, perfecting recipes in the quiet. Before I can talk myself out of it, I grab my coat and head out into the cold December night. The walk to the bakery takes 15 minutes, and I use every second to rehearse what I'm going to say. How do you apologize for making someone feel small? For projecting your own baggage onto their talent? For being exactly the kind of person you swore you'd never become? Main Street is quiet, most shops already closed for the night. But as I approach the bakery, I see a glow from the back, visible through the front windows. The kitchen light. She's here. I stand on the sidewalk for a long moment, watching that golden light and wondering if I have any right to interrupt her. To ask for forgiveness when I'm not sure I deserve it. Before I can overthink it, I walk to the side door, the one marked deliveries, and knock before I can talk myself out of it. Nothing happens for a long moment. Then the door cracks open, and Belle's face appears, flower on her cheek and surprise in her eyes. Dorian? What are you? She stops, her expression shifting from surprise to wariness. It's 9:30. I know. I'm sorry. I run a hand through my hair. Can I talk to you? Please? She looks at me for a long moment, and I can see her weighing it. Every reason to say no is probably flashing through her mind. Every careless word I've said, every time I've made her feel small. 5 minutes, she says finally, stepping back to let me in. The bakery kitchen is warm and smells like chocolate and something spiced. Cinnamon, maybe, or cardamom. Belle moves back to the counter where several cupcakes sit cooling on a rack. She's wearing jeans and an oversized sweater, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, and she looks more comfortable than I've ever seen her. Like this is where she belongs. I'm working, she says, not quite looking at me. So if you're here to tell me again that I need a stronger hook. I'm here to apologize. The words come out rushed. Really apologize, not the pathetic version I tried at caroling night. She crosses her arms, waiting. I was wrong, I continue. About your cupcakes, about calling them basic, about acting like I knew better because my father is who he is. I take a breath. You were right when you said I judged your work through his lens. That's exactly what I did. And I'm sorry. Okay. Her voice is neutral, careful. I know what it's like, I say, the words spilling out now. To be dismissed. To have someone look at what you've created and tell you all the ways it's not enough. My father's been doing that to me my entire life. Something shifts in her expression. Not quite softening, but listening. He's Dorian Hayes, master pâtissier, and everything I make gets compared to his work. Every technique judged against his perfection. I spent years in his kitchen, trying to measure up, and nothing was ever good enough. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. The last time I baked for him, I made his signature souffle. Followed his recipe exactly. He took one bite and said this is adequate. But adequate isn't enough, is it? Belle's arms loosened slightly. That's cruel. That's him. I looked down at my hands. So I stopped trying. Figured if I couldn't be perfect, I'd just be something else entirely. Hence the social media, the pretty pictures, the coffee instead of pastry. At least online, people appreciate what I create. Even if it's shallow. It's not shallow, Belle says quietly. Your latte art is beautiful. The hot chocolate you made for caroling night, everyone loved it. But it's not serious. It's not the kind of work that matters. I meet her eyes. Or at least, that's what I thought until I watched you that evening. Did you notice people's faces when they tasted your cupcakes? Or how that little girl lit up like you'd given her magic? Belle ducks her head, a hint of color in her cheeks. You create something real, I continue. Something that makes people feel seen and cared for. And I dismissed it because it wasn't loud enough, wasn't flashy enough, wasn't like what I thought winning should look like. I take a step closer. But I was wrong. Your work isn't basic, Belle. It's thoughtful. It's intentional. It's exactly what baking should be. She's quiet for a long moment, her fingers playing with the edge of her sweater. Why are you telling me this now? Because I've spent 2 days feeling like garbage for hurting you. Because you deserve better than someone who projects their own insecurities onto your talent. Because, I stop, not sure how to finish that sentence without making this weird. Because, she prompts, and there's the tiniest hint of curiosity in her voice. I think you're brilliant, I say simply. And I want you to know that. Even if we're competing against each other. Belle looks at me then, really looks at me, and I see her processing everything I've said. Weighing my words against my actions. Deciding if I'm worth trusting. Finally, she moves to the cooling rack and picks up one of the cupcakes. This is my revised recipe. For the competition. You don't have to. I want to. She holds it out. But you have to promise to be honest. Really honest, not performatively honest. If it's still basic, if it still needs work, I need to know. I take the cupcake carefully. It's beautiful. A dark chocolate cake with buttercream swirled like winter wind, topped with what looks like both a crystallized violet and a candied ginger flower. Edible silver glitter catches the kitchen light. This is Midnight Waltz? I ask. Revised version. She's watching me carefully. More cardamom. Less sugar in the buttercream. Added black pepper for depth. The violet and ginger together create complexity. Sweet and spicy, delicate and bold. I take a bite. The first thing I notice is the texture. It's an impossibly moist cake with a tender crumb that melts on my tongue. Then the flavors hit. Rich chocolate, deepened by espresso, warming cinnamon and cardamom, and underneath it all, that subtle bite of black pepper that makes everything more interesting. The buttercream is perfectly balanced. Sweet but not cloying, vanilla bean adding depth without overwhelming. It's not just good. It's exceptional. Well? Belle's voice is quiet, nervous. I set down the cupcake and look at her. This isn't cute. Her face falls slightly. This is brilliant, I finish. Belle, this is incredible. The flavors are complex but balanced. The pepper adds just enough surprise without being gimmicky. The crystallized flowers, I gesture to them. They're not just decoration. They add texture and their own subtle flavors. You really think so? She's trying to hide her hope, but I can see it. I know so. I pick up the cupcake again, taking another bite to confirm what I already know. This is competition winner good. Maybe better. It's sophisticated without being pretentious. Bold without screaming. It's perfect. It's not perfect, she says, but she's smiling now. Actually smiling. The glitter distribution could be more even. And I'm not sure about the violet and ginger together. If it's too busy. It's not too busy. It's intentional. I echo her word from earlier. Every element has a purpose. That's what makes it brilliant. Belle looks at me for a long moment, and something in her expression shifts. Not quite forgiveness, but maybe the beginning of it. Thank you, she says softly. For the apology. She gestures at the cupcake. For seeing it. Thank you for letting me try it. And for not slamming the door in my face. She laughs, small and surprised. I considered it. I wouldn't have blamed you. We stand there in the warm kitchen, the tension between us eased but not entirely gone. There's still the competition. Still the knowledge that in less than 2 weeks, we'll be standing in front of judges, trying to beat each other. But there's also mutual respect, hard-won understanding, and the tentative possibility of something that might be friendship. I should let you get back to work, I say, even though I don't particularly want to leave. The kitchen feels safe, comfortable. Like a place where words matter and wounds can heal. Yeah, I have 3 more batches to test. She walks me to the door. But Dorian? Yes? I'm glad you came by. Really? Even though I interrupted your baking? Even though. She hesitates, then adds, we're still competing, though. I'm still trying to win. Good. I smile. I'd be disappointed if you weren't. May the best baker win. May the best baker win, she echoes. I'm halfway back to novel sips when my phone buzzes. A text from Belle. For what it's worth, your hot chocolate at caroling night was really good. Perfect balance of chocolate and spice. I stare at the message, something warm blooming in my chest. She's trying. Meeting me halfway. Offering her own version of a peace offering. I type back, thanks. That means a lot coming from you. Her response comes quickly, I mean it. You're better at this than you give yourself credit for. I read those words over and over, standing in the middle of Main Street with snow starting to fall and Christmas lights twinkling overhead. Maybe she's right. I guess showing up and apologizing and being vulnerable about my father proved more than any perfectly piped eclair ever could. Or maybe I still need to do both. Prove it to myself even if I've already proven it to her. I text back, still going to try to beat you with those eclairs though. Good luck. You'll need it. My cupcakes are going to destroy you. I laugh out loud, startling a couple walking past. Confident now, are we? You said they were brilliant. I'm choosing to believe you. You should. I'm very smart and have excellent taste. Modest too. One of my best qualities. There's a pause, then, good night, Dorian. Good night, Belle.
Chapter 7. Belle. The lunch rush has finally died down, leaving Rising Hearts Bakery in that peaceful lull between meals. I'm wiping down tables when Leah emerges from the back, carrying a clipboard and wearing her determined face. I know that face. It never means anything good for my comfort level. Belle, we need to talk about the competition. I focus intently on a spot of dried frosting. What about it? The presentation portion. She sets the clipboard on the counter with a decisive thunk. You have to stand in front of the judges and explain your creation. Talk about your inspiration, your techniques, answer questions. My stomach drops. I know. Are you ready for it though? Because every time I mention it, you change the subject. She softens slightly. Honey, your cupcakes are incredible. But if you freeze up there, if you can't communicate what makes them special, I won't freeze. The lie tastes bitter. Belle. Leah comes around the counter, her expression gentle but firm. I've watched you hide in the kitchen during every single customer appreciation event. You're an amazing baker, but public speaking terrifies you. I'll be fine. Prove it. I look up sharply. What? Practice. Right now. She gestures to the empty bakery. Pretend I'm the judges. Tell me about your cupcakes. Leah, I don't think. That's the problem. You're thinking too much instead of just doing. She crosses her arms, waiting. Come on. It's me. And if you can't do it with me, how are you going to manage in front of 3 judges and an audience? She's right. I hate that she's right, but she is. I take a shaky breath and move behind the counter, trying to imagine I'm at the competition. Leah sits on one of the stools, clipboard in hand like an official judge. Whenever you're ready, she says encouragingly. My mouth goes dry. Hi. I'm Belle Hartley, and I stop. Start again. These are my cupcakes. They're called Midnight Waltz. The name comes from, my mind goes blank. Why did I name them that? It's a jazz song. No, wait. It's inspired by a feeling. The feeling of. Breathe, Leah says gently. I do. It doesn't help. The cupcakes are chocolate. Dark chocolate. With espresso and cinnamon and cardamom. I'm talking too fast, my words tumbling over each other. The buttercream is vanilla bean with honey and there's black pepper for depth and the flowers are crystallized violets and ginger which represent, they're symbolic of. I stop, my face burning. I sound like I'm reading from a grocery list, not describing something I poured my heart into. It's okay, Leah starts, but I shake my head. It's not okay. I can't do this. I can't stand up there and talk about my work like it matters when I can barely string 2 sentences together. Your work does matter. You just need practice. I've been practicing. In my head. It never sounds right out loud. Then we'll keep trying until it does. Her voice is determined. Go again. This time, don't think about the judges. Think about the little girl at caroling night. Tell me like you're telling her. I close my eyes, remembering. The way she'd looked at the cupcake like it was magic. The whispered, it's so pretty. Okay. I open my eyes. Midnight waltzes. The bell above the door chimes. I stop mid-sentence, my face going hot as Hazel Elliott walks in, her silver hair perfectly coiffed and a knowing smile on her face. Don't mind me, she says cheerfully. Just picking up my usual order. But please, continue. I want to sink through the floor. I wasn't, we were just. Belle's practicing her presentation, Leah supplies, completely unbothered by the interruption. For the bake-off. How wonderful. Hazel settles herself on a stool, clearly planning to stay. I do love a good presentation. The best bakers aren't just technically skilled, you know. They're storytellers. I'm not really one of those, I mumble, already retreating toward the safety of the back kitchen. Nonsense. Every recipe is a story. Hazel's eyes twinkle. But I can see you need more practice before you're ready for an audience. No shame in that, dear. Even the most confident speakers had to start somewhere. Belle's nervous, Leah says, shooting me an encouraging look. But her cupcakes are incredible. Once she gets comfortable talking about them, the judges won't know what hit them. I busy myself boxing up Hazel's usual order, a half-dozen of our cinnamon rolls, and try to ignore the way my hands shake slightly. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Being watched. Being judged. Having people pay attention when all I want to do is fade into the background. You know, Hazel says, accepting her box, my friend Tessa had terrible stage fright when she first entered the pie competition. Could barely say 2 words without turning red. But she found someone to practice with, and it made all the difference. I don't really have anyone to practice with, I say quietly. Don't you? Hazel's smile turns mysterious. I could have sworn I saw young Dorian head to Burke's General Store. My stomach does a complicated flip at his name. We've been texting since his apology 2 nights ago. Friendly messages about baking, nothing serious. But the memory of him tasting my cupcake, the look on his face when he said this is brilliant, that's been replaying in my mind more than it should. Dorian and I are competitors, I say, probably too quickly. Hazel heads for the door, clearly not believing me. Well, if you change your mind about needing practice, the general store closes at 6. Just in case you happen to need any last-minute supplies. She leaves with a jingle of the bell, and I'm left standing behind the counter with Leah's knowing look fixed on me. Don't, I warn. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it very loudly. She laughs. Fine. But Belle? Hazel might have a point. Practicing with someone who understands competition nerves could help. And Dorian did apologize, didn't he? Yes, but nothing. You need practice, and apparently so does he. Seems like a practical solution to me. She comes around the counter and squeezes my shoulder. Think about it. He's at the general store. I nod, and she disappears into the back. Left alone in the quiet bakery, I pull out my phone and stare at my recent messages with Dorian. The last one is from this morning. It's a photo of a collapsed eclair shell with the caption, "This is going well." I'd responded, "At least it's not on fire." That's progress. His reply, setting a low bar for success. I like it. It was easy, that exchange. Light and friendly without the weight of competition or hurt feelings. Just two people who understand what it's like to create something and have it fall apart. Maybe Leah and Hazel are right. Maybe practicing with someone who gets it would help. Or maybe it's a terrible idea that will end with me even more flustered than I already am. I glance at the clock. 4:30. Brooks General Store is a 10-minute walk, and I do need to pick up some decorative boxes for my test batches. The orders from caroling night are keeping me busy, and I'm running low on supplies. Before I can talk myself out of it, I grab my coat and head for the door. Brooks General Store smells like coffee and old wood, exactly the way it has for as long as I can remember. The oak beams overhead are original to the building, nearly a century old, and the antique cash register still works perfectly. Hale Fletcher runs the place with the same quiet competence his family always has, though I notice he smiles more these days. Marriage to Tessa seems to agree with him. I'm debating between two different sizes of cupcake boxes when I hear a familiar voice from the next aisle over. Do you have any of those clear favor boxes? The kind with the ribbon handles? Dorian. My heart does an annoying little skip, and I tell it firmly to stop. Should be on the third shelf, Hale's voice responds. Right next to the tissue paper. I peek around the corner of my aisle and see Dorian reaching for a stack of boxes, his dark hair falling across his forehead. He's wearing a navy sweater that makes his eyes look even bluer, and he has flour on his jeans like he came straight from baking. I should say something. We're friends now. Or at least, we're friendly. The texting has been nice. Easy. But watching him when he doesn't know I'm here feels safer somehow. Belle Hartley, are you hiding behind the napkin display? I jump and turn to find Hazel standing right behind me, looking far too pleased with herself. I'm not hiding. I'm shopping. And does shopping usually involve lurking in the aisles? Before I can respond, Dorian appears at the end, a stack of clear boxes in his hands. He spots me and breaks into a smile that makes my stupid heart skip again. Hey, he says. Fancy meeting you here. I needed supplies. I hold up the cupcake boxes as proof. For the orders. Right. The orders. His smile turned slightly sheepish. I saw the line outside the bakery this morning. You're basically famous now. Hardly. But I can feel myself blushing. Oh, I don't know about that, Hazel chimes in, reminding us both that she's still here. Half the town is talking about Belle's cupcakes. And the other half is talking about Dorian's hot chocolate from caroling night. She beams at both of us. You two have certainly made an impression. We're trying, Dorian says diplomatically. Speaking of trying, Hazel continues, and I can see the gleam in her eye that means she's about to meddle. Belle was practicing her presentation at the bakery earlier. For the competition. She's a bit nervous about the public speaking portion. Hazel, I start, mortified. There's no shame in it, dear. Stage fright is perfectly natural. She turns to Dorian. I don't suppose you have any advice? You seem quite comfortable with audiences, what with your social media and all. Dorian looks between Hazel and me, clearly trying to figure out what's happening. I mean, I could probably help? If Belle wants? I don't want to impose, I begin. It's not an imposition, he says quickly. Actually, I could use the practice too. I'm fine talking to a camera, but talking to actual judges who can ask questions? That's different. Hazel claps her hands together like she's just solved world peace. Perfect. You should practice together. Find a quiet spot, run through your presentations. Help each other. That's really not necessary. I think it's a great idea, Dorian interrupts, his eyes meeting mine. There's something warm in them, something that makes my pulse quicken. If you're up for it? I should say no. Should maintain professional distance. Should remember that we're competitors and getting too close is asking for complications. But the memory of his apology is still fresh. The way he looked at me when he said you're brilliant. The easy comfort of our text messages. And underneath all my anxiety about presenting, there's a tiny voice whispering that maybe practicing with someone who understands would actually help. Okay, I hear myself say. We could practice together. Dorian's smile widens. Yeah? Somewhere quiet. Not the bakery or novel sips. Too many people. My place or yours? Dorian asks with an expression that looks entirely too innocent. What about the waterfall? The suggestion comes out before I fully think it through. The one just outside of town. It's pretty isolated this time of year. Perfect, Hazel says, looking entirely too satisfied. A lovely spot for an afternoon walk and some practice. Very scenic. There's something in her tone that makes me wonder if I've just walked into one of her matchmaking schemes, but Dorian is already nodding. When? He asks. I check my phone. I get off at 5:30. Meet there at 6? I'll be there. The path to the waterfall is dusted with snow, enough to muffle our footsteps. I've changed out of my work clothes into jeans and a thick burgundy sweater, and I'm already second-guessing everything about this plan. Dorian walks beside me, his hands shoved in his coat pockets, his breath visible in small clouds. We've been quiet since leaving the main path behind the library, and the silence feels heavier with each step. So, he finally says, stage fright, huh? Crippling terror, actually. I try to make it sound light, but it comes out too honest. I can barely order coffee without rehearsing first. Standing in front of judges and an audience? That's my nightmare. But you talk to customers at the bakery all the time. That's different. They're not evaluating me. They want their bread and pastries. I kick at a small pile of snow. And I'm not the center of attention. I can fade into the background. You couldn't fade into the background if you tried, Dorian says quietly. I glance at him, but he's looking ahead at the path. What's that supposed to mean? You have this way of being. Even when you're quiet, people notice you. That little girl at caroling night? She was mesmerized by you and your cupcakes. And everyone I've talked to in town mentions you. Sweet Belle from the bakery. That quiet Hartley girl who makes magic with flour. My face heats despite the cold. They're just being nice. They're being honest. He stops walking as we reach the waterfall clearing. Which is what I should have been from the start. The waterfall is beautiful in the early winter evening. The water still flowing despite the cold, cascading over smooth rocks into a pool below. The sound is musical, soothing. Snow dusts the surrounding pines, and the setting sun paints everything in shades of pink and gold. It's completely private. Completely isolated. I'm suddenly very aware of how alone we are. So, I say, trying to focus. Should we start practicing? Right. Yeah, Dorian says. You want to go first, or should I? You. The word comes out too quickly. I mean, if you don't mind. I'd like to see how someone confident does it. I'm not confident. He runs a hand through his hair, and I recognize it as his nervous towel. I'm just better at faking it. Then fake it for me. Show me how it's done. He takes a breath, squares his shoulders, and transforms. His posture straightens, his expression smooths into something warm and engaging. When he speaks, his voice carries without being loud. Good afternoon. I'm Dorian Hayes, and I've created a modern interpretation of a classic French pastry. The éclair. He gestures like there are actual éclairs in front of him. While traditional éclairs feature chocolate or coffee, mine incorporates seasonal flavors. Brown butter pastry cream infused with cinnamon and vanilla, piped into choux pastry shells and topped with a maple glaze and candied orange peel. I watch, fascinated. This is the Dorian from Instagram. He's polished, professional, and completely comfortable being the center of attention. But there's something different too. He's more genuine than I expected. The inspiration came from wanting to honor traditional techniques while making something distinctly mine, he continues. My father is a pâtissier, and éclairs are his signature. But these aren't his recipe. The brown butter adds nuttiness, the cinnamon warmth, and the maple brings everything together with just enough sweetness. The candied orange cuts through the richness, providing balance. He stops, dropping the performance. Too much? I feel like I'm overselling. No, it was perfect. I mean it. You sounded knowledgeable without being pretentious. Confident without being arrogant. Years of practice faking it. But he's smiling. Your turn. My stomach clenches. I don't think I can do that. The whole transformation thing. You don't have to transform. You just talk about something you love. He moves closer, his voice gentle. Tell me about your cupcakes like you're telling a friend. Forget about judges and audiences. Share what makes them special. I take a shaky breath and try to channel what he did. To embrace the confidence, the ease. It doesn't work. My voice comes out small and uncertain. Hi. I'm Belle Hartley. My cupcakes are called Midnight Waltz. They're chocolate with, espresso and cinnamon and cardamom. I'm talking too fast again, my words running together. The buttercream is vanilla bean with honey and there's black pepper for depth, which sounds weird but it works because. Stop, Dorian says gently. I do, grateful and mortified in equal measure. You're doing it again, he says. Listing ingredients like a recipe card. That's not what the judges want to hear. Then what do they want? The story. He steps even closer, close enough that I have to tilt my head back slightly to meet his eyes. Why Midnight Waltz? What does that mean to you? I swallow hard. It's from a jazz song my grandmother used to hum while she baked. She'd make these elaborate cakes at night, and I'd sit at her kitchen table and listen to her hum. That's beautiful. Say that. Lead with that. But it sounds too personal. That's exactly why it's perfect. His voice is soft, encouraging. Food is personal, Belle. It's memory and comfort and love. That's what you put into your cupcakes. That's what people taste when they eat them. The way he's looking at me makes it hard to breathe. Like he sees past every defense I've carefully constructed, past the quiet dishwasher facade, straight to the person underneath who cares too much and hides it poorly. Try again, he says. But this time, tell me about your grandmother. Tell me why midnight. Tell me the real story. I close my eyes for a moment, gathering courage. When I open them, he's still watching me with that patient, gentle expression. Okay. My voice is still quiet, but steadier. Midnight Waltz is named after a memory. My grandmother used to bake late at night, she said the quiet helped her think. She'd hum this jazz melody, and everything she made tasted like love and midnight and possibility. Better, Dorian murmurs. The chocolate and espresso are dark, like those late nights. The cinnamon and cardamom add warmth, comfort. The black pepper is unexpected, surprising, like finding beauty in the quiet moments you don't expect. The words are flowing now, easier. And the crystallized flowers, violets and ginger, they're delicate but strong. Like my grandmother. Like the memories I'm trying to honor. I stop, suddenly self-conscious. That's probably too much. That's perfect. Dorian's eyes are bright. That's exactly what the judges need to hear. It's what makes your cupcakes different from everyone else's. Really? Really? He's smiling now, genuine and warm. Do it again. Practice until it feels natural. So I do. Over and over, with Dorian playing different types of judges. Sometimes he's kind, sometimes skeptical, and then distracted. He asks questions, challenges my answers, makes me explain my choices. And slowly, painfully, the presentation starts to feel less like torture and more like sharing something I love. What if someone asks a question I can't answer? I ask after the 5th run-through. Then you say you don't know, but you'll think about it. He's sitting on one of the flat boulders near the waterfall now, completely at ease. Judges respect honesty more than hot air. Easy for you to say. You're naturally good at this. I'm only good at performing. There's a difference. Something shadows his expression. My whole life has been about performing. For my father, for his colleagues, for the judges who compare everything I make to his work. But that's not the same as being honest. You seemed pretty honest in your presentation. That's new. He picks up a small stone and tosses it into the pool. Usually I hide behind technique and pretty words. But watching you talk about your grandmother, about memory and love, he looks at me. That's what cooking should be. Not just technique. Heart. The sincerity in his voice makes my chest ache. Your eclairs sound amazing. The brown butter and maple? That's brilliant. It's different, anyway. He shrugs. Different from my father's version. That's what matters to me. Why eclairs? I ask, moving closer to perch on the boulder beside him. Not touching, but close enough to feel his warmth. If they're his signature, why compete with them? Because I need to know. His voice is low, almost lost in the sound of falling water. If I can make them mine. If I can take something he's mastered and make it different. Better, maybe. Or at least honest. That's brave. He laughs, short and bitter. Or stupid. Probably stupid. No. I bump my shoulder against his, surprising both of us. It's brave. Facing the thing that scares you most? That takes courage. Says the girl who's terrified of public speaking but signed up for a competition that requires it. I didn't sign up. Leah entered me. But you're doing it anyway. He turns to look at me, and we're close enough that I can see the gold flecks in his blue eyes. That's brave, Belle. Even if you don't feel like it. The moment stretches between us, charged with something I'm not ready to name. His eyes drop to my mouth, just for a second, and my breath catches. We should, I start. Practice more, he finishes, but his voice has gone rough. Yeah. Practice. Neither of us moves. The waterfall keeps singing, and snow starts to fall. Light, lazy flakes that catch in Dorian's dark hair. One lands on my cheek, melting instantly from the heat of my blush. Belle. My name sounds different when he says it. Careful. Precious. Dorian. I don't know what I'm saying. Don't know if it's a question or an answer or a warning. He lifts his hand, slowly, giving me time to pull away. His fingers brush my cheek, gentle and warm, chasing away the cold. You have flour, he murmurs. From earlier. I think. Oh. It comes out breathless. His thumb traces along my cheekbone, and I forget how to think. Forget that we're competitors. Forget every reason this is a bad idea. All I know is that he's looking at me like I'm something precious, like I matter, like I'm not just the quiet girl who washes dishes but someone worth seeing. Dorian, I whisper again. Yeah? His hand is still on my face, his thumb now resting at the corner of my mouth. What do I think? That this is dangerous? That I'm falling for my competition? That his touch makes me want things I shouldn't? I think we should probably head back. It's getting dark. Disappointment flickers across his face, but he drops his hand immediately. Right. Yeah. Of course. We stand, and the loss of his warmth is physical. The walk back to town is quieter than the walk out, both of us lost in thoughts we're not ready to share. When we reach the library, the point where we'll split off to our separate apartments, Dorian turns to me. Thank you, he says. For practicing with me. You're going to be amazing at the competition. You too. I hesitate, then add, the brown butter eclairs sound incredible. I'd love to try one sometime. His smile is soft, genuine. Trade you for a midnight waltz? Deal. We stand there for another moment, neither of us wanting to leave. Snow continues to fall, dusting his shoulders and catching in his eyelashes, and I have to physically stop myself from reaching up to brush it away. Good night, Belle. Good night, Dorian. I watch him walk away until he disappears around the corner toward Novel Sips. Then I turn and head to my own apartment, my face still tingling where he touched me, my heart doing gymnastics in my chest.
Chapter 8. Dorian. My phone buzzes during the afternoon lull at Novel Sips, and I make the mistake of looking at the caller ID. Dorian Hayes. My father never calls unless he has something to say that can't wait. Which usually means something critical, cutting, or both. I should let it go to voicemail. Should ignore it like I've been ignoring his texts for the past 2 weeks. Instead, I step into the back room and answer. Hello, Father. Dorian. His voice carries that particular tone. Disapproval wrapped in forced civility. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten how to answer your phone. I've been busy. Playing barista in some backwoods town. He says it like I'm finger painting instead of working. How much longer does this little rebellion need to last? I press my fingers against my temple where a headache is already forming. It's not a rebellion. It's a job. It's beneath you. His voice sharpens. You're a Hayes. You should be in a proper kitchen, not serving coffee to tourists and farmers. There's nothing wrong with serving coffee. Or with Juniper Falls. There's everything wrong with wasting your potential. I can hear him moving around. He's probably in his Paris kitchen, surrounded by staff who actually meet his standards. You have training. Technique. A legacy. And you're throwing it away to take Instagram photos of foam. The words hit exactly where he intends them to. Because isn't that what I've been afraid of? That he's right? That I'm wasting everything he tried to teach me? I'm entering a baking competition, I say, hating how defensive I sound. Next weekend. A holiday bake-off. The silence that follows is worse than his criticism. A local competition, he finally says. In a small town in North Carolina. Dorian, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're competing against amateurs instead of challenging yourself in a real culinary environment. These people aren't amateurs. They're talented. I'm sure they're very nice. His tone makes it clear he thinks the opposite. But nice doesn't make you a pâtissier. You're my son. You should be in Paris, working in a real kitchen, not wasting time in some mountain town with people who wouldn't know proper technique if it hit them. My jaw clenches so hard it hurts. I have to go. We're getting busy. Think about what I said. There's still time to come home. To stop this foolishness and do something that matters. He hangs up before I can respond. Not that I have a response. Not one that wouldn't make everything worse. I stand in the back room, my phone still in my hand, my father's words echoing in my head. Playing barista. backwoods town. Something that matters. Like nothing I do here matters. Like the work isn't real, the people aren't real, my choices are real. Like I'm not real unless I'm following his script. Dorian? Maggie's voice comes from the doorway. You okay? Yeah. Sorry. I pocket my phone. I'll be right out. She studies me for a moment, clearly not believing me, but doesn't push. Take your time. I splash cold water on my face at the small sink, trying to wash away the conversation. But my father's voice won't leave. It never does. He has a way of getting under my skin and staying there, making me question every decision, every choice, every moment of happiness I manage to find. When I return to the front, I'm met with a sight that makes me stop short. Belle. She's at the counter, talking to Maggie, holding a bakery box that I bet contains samples of something delicious. She's wearing a cream-colored sweater and jeans, her hair down and slightly windswept, and she's smiling at something Maggie said. Then she sees me, and her smile falters. Hey. Are you okay? Fine. The lie tastes bitter. But Belle's watching me with those two perceptive eyes, and I can see her cataloging every detail. The tension in my shoulders, the tightness around my mouth, whatever my face is doing that I can't quite control. I brought samples, she says, setting the box on the counter. The book club cupcakes turned out really well, so I thought you might want to try one. As thanks for helping me practice. Maggie perks up immediately. Ooh, can I? Actually, Belle interrupts, still watching me, could you give us a minute? I need to talk to Dorian about something. Maggie's eyebrows rise, but she's too smart to argue. Sure. I need to check inventory anyway. She disappears into the back, and we're alone in the quiet cafe. Belle pushes the box toward me. What happened? Nothing. I'm fine. Dorian. She says my name like a gentle reprimand. You look like someone just told you your eclairs are terrible. What happened? I could brush it off. Could maintain the easy charm, the performance, the walls I'm so good at building. But something about the way she's looking at me that makes keeping them up feel exhausting. My father called, I say finally. Understanding floods her face. Oh. Yeah. I lean against the counter, suddenly tired. I told him about the competition. He called it playing house in a backwoods town. Said I'm wasting my potential. That's cruel. That's him. I run a hand through my hair. The worst part is, he's not entirely wrong. I am serving coffee instead of working in a real kitchen. I am competing in a local competition instead of challenging myself somewhere that matters. I am. Stop. Belle's voice is sharp enough to cut through my spiral. I look at her, surprised. Your father is wrong, she says, her quiet voice carrying unexpected force. About all of it. This town isn't backwoods. And you're not wasting anything. Belle. No, listen. She moves closer, close enough that I can smell vanilla and cinnamon. It's like she carries the bakery with her. You came here because you needed to prove something to yourself, right? Not to him. To yourself. I nod, not trusting my voice. Then you're already succeeding. Her eyes are fierce, determined. You're showing up. You're working. You're creating. You're being brave enough to try something different, something that scares you. That matters, Dorian. He'd say I'm running away. You're running towards something. She reaches out, like she's going to touch my arm, then hesitates. You're running toward yourself. Toward figuring out who you are when you're not trying to be him. Her hand hovers between us, and I make the decision for both of us, reaching out to take it. Her fingers are warm, slightly dusted with flour, and they fit perfectly in mine. You really believe that? I ask. I do. She squeezes my hand gently. I've watched you. The way you are with customers, the care you put into every drink, the way you helped me practice even though we're competing against each other. That's not someone wasting their potential. That's someone becoming who they're meant to be. Something in my chest loosens at her words. Not entirely, my father's voice is still there, still whispering that I'm not enough, but Belle's conviction makes it quieter somehow. Thank you, I say softly. For saying that. You do the same for me. She smiles, small and genuine. You did do the same for me. At the waterfall. The memory of that afternoon floods back. The snow, the closeness, the way she looked at me like I was someone worth seeing. The moment I almost kissed her and chickened out at the last second. Maybe I shouldn't have chickened out. Belle, I start, not sure where I'm going with this. Yeah? I'm really glad you came to Juniper Falls. I'm really glad Leah entered you in this competition. I'm really glad. I stop, realizing what I'm about to say and that it's probably too much, too soon, too complicated given everything. Glad what? Her voice is soft, curious. Glad you're here. It's not everything I want to say, but it's honest. Right now. Glad you're the one telling me I'm not wasting my life. Her cheeks flush pink, and she doesn't let go of my hand. I'm glad I'm here too. We stand like that for a moment, hands linked across the counter, the cafe quiet around us except for the hum of the espresso machine and distant sounds of Maggie moving around in the back. So, Belle says eventually, though she still doesn't pull away, are you going to try the cupcakes or just stare at them? I laugh, the sound surprising me with its genuineness. Right. The cupcakes. She releases my hand to open the box, and I immediately miss the connection. These are the competition ones? The refined version. She watches as I pick one up. I added a touch more black pepper. And I adjusted the buttercream ratio. Tell me if it's too much. I take a bite, and it's even better than I remember. The chocolate is richer, the spice is more pronounced, the black pepper adding just enough surprise to make me pause and appreciate every flavor. The buttercream is perfectly balanced. It's sweet but not cloying, with that subtle honey note underneath. Belle. I set down the cupcake and look at her. These are going to win. You don't know that. I do. I pick it up again, taking another bite to confirm what I already know. This is the best cupcake I've ever tasted. And I've tasted a lot of cupcakes. Better than your father's? The question catches me off guard. I think about the elaborate desserts from my father's kitchen. Technically perfect, visually stunning, exactly what they should be. Different, I say honestly. His are about precision. Perfection. Control. Yours are about, I search for the right word. Heart. These taste like you actually care about the person eating them. Of course I care. She sounds almost offended by the suggestion she wouldn't. Exactly. I finish the cupcake. That's what makes them better. My father's desserts make you respect them. There's a difference. Belle is quiet for a moment, and when she speaks, her voice is careful. Do you think he'll ever see that? Your father? That heart matters as much as technique? No. The word comes out harder than I intend. He's not interested in heart. He's interested in legacy. In making sure the Hayes name stays synonymous with perfection. Feelings are irrelevant. That's sad. That's him. I reach for another cupcake, needing the comfort of her creation. But it doesn't have to be me. That's what you helped me realize. I can make eclairs that are mine. That have heart. That matter for reasons beyond technique. Have you figured out how? She leans against the counter, genuinely curious. To make them yours, I mean? I think so. I haven't talked about this with anyone, but something about Belle makes me want to share. The brown butter and maple were a start. But I'm also changing the shape. Making them smaller, more delicate. And adding a touch of smoked salt to the glaze. Nothing that screams different, but enough to make them mine. Smoked salt with maple. She considers this. That's brilliant. The smoke will cut the sweetness and add complexity. That's the idea. I smile at her enthusiasm. Though now I'm worried they won't be good enough. Not compared to these. They will be. Her certainty is absolute. You're talented, Dorian. Even if your father can't see it. The words settle into my chest, warm and healing. My father's criticism is still there, still sharp, but Belle's belief in me builds something stronger around it. Not a wall, exactly. More like armor. Want to know a secret? I ask. Always. I'm terrified of the competition. Not of losing, but of standing up there and having everyone compare my work to his. Of being judged as Dorian Hayes' son instead of as myself. Then don't be Dorian Hayes' son. She says it like it's simple. Be Dorian. The guy who makes incredible hot chocolate and helps anxious bakers practice their presentations and shows up even when he's scared. That's who the judges need to see. What if that's not enough? Then the judges are fools. She says it so matter-of-factly that I laugh. Seriously. If they can't see how good you are, that's their failure, not yours. Maggie chooses that moment to return, taking in the scene. Me leaning against the counter, Belle watching me with soft eyes, the open box of cupcakes between us. Everything okay out here? She asks, trying and failing to hide her smile. Yes, I say, not taking my eyes off Belle. Everything's good. Great. Maggie moves behind the counter, picking up a cupcake and taking a bite. Belle, these are incredible. If there's any chance you're taking advance orders for Christmas, I'll text you, Belle promises, finally breaking eye contact with me. I should get back to the bakery. She heads for the door, but pauses before leaving. Dorian? Yeah? Your father's wrong about everything. Don't let him make you doubt what you're building here. Then she's gone, the bell chiming in her wake, leaving me standing there with Maggie's knowing look and a chest full of feelings I don't quite know how to name. So, Maggie says, not even pretending to be subtle. That was interesting. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. Just observing that Belle Hartley came all the way here to check on you. With cupcakes. And held your hand. I'd forgotten Maggie could probably see us from the back. She was being nice. Maggie's grin is insufferable. You know what's funny? I'm sure you're about to tell me. You've been here for weeks, moping about your father and your Instagram and whether you're good enough. And in walks this quiet baker who sees exactly who you are and tells you you're already succeeding. She picks up one of Belle's cupcakes. That's not nothing, Dorian. We're competitors. It would be complicated. So, maybe complicated is better than safe.
Chapter 9. Belle. The night air is sharp with cold when I hear the knock on my apartment door. It's late and I'm in my pajamas. My kitchen is a mess from testing yet another batch of Midnight Waltz. The competition is in a few days, and I've been obsessing over every detail, second-guessing every choice. I peek through the peephole and my heart does that annoying skip it's been doing lately. Dorian. He's wearing his coat over what looks like pajama pants and a t-shirt, his hair disheveled like he's been running his hands through it. There's snow on his shoulders. I open the door. Is everything okay? I couldn't sleep. He looks almost sheepish. I kept thinking about the eclairs. About what you said earlier. About being myself. He holds up a container. So I made a batch. The real ones. The ones I'm entering. And I need you to try them. Now? It's 10:30. I know. I'm sorry. This is crazy. He starts to back away. I shouldn't have. No, wait. I step back, opening the door wider. Come in. I want to try them. His smile is relieved, grateful. He steps inside, and my small apartment suddenly feels smaller. More intimate. He's been in my space at the bakery, but this is different. This is my home. With my worn couch, my cluttered kitchen counter, my recipe journal open on the table. Sorry about the mess, I say, suddenly self-conscious. I've been baking. I can tell. His eyes land on my cooling racks lined with cupcakes. Testing? Obsessing. I move to clear space on my small kitchen table. I can't stop tweaking things. What if the black pepper is too subtle? What if the flowers are too much? What if? Belle. He sets the container down and looks at me. Your cupcakes are perfect. You need to stop second-guessing. Says the man who showed up at my door at 10:30 because he couldn't stop thinking about his eclairs. He laughs, the sound warm and a little self-deprecating. Fair point. We're both disasters. Perfectionist disasters, I add, and move closer to the container. Show me. He opens it carefully, and the scent hits me first. I smell brown butter, maple, cinnamon, and something deeper. Smoke. The eclairs are beautiful. Smaller than traditional ones, more delicate, with a glossy maple glaze and a tiny curl of candied orange peel on top. A few grains of what must be the smoked salt catch the light. Dorian, I breathe. These are stunning. They're different from his. He's watching my face, nervous. Completely different. I don't know if they're better, but they're mine. I pick one up carefully. It's lighter than I expected, the choux pastry feels perfectly crisp. When I bite into it, the shell gives way with a satisfying crack, and the pastry cream floods my mouth. It's rich and nutty from the brown butter, warm with cinnamon, sweet with maple. The smoked salt hits at the end, just a whisper, cutting through the sweetness and making everything more complex. It's exceptional. Well? Dorian's voice is tight with anxiety. I set down the eclair and look at him. These aren't just yours. These have got to be better. Belle. I'm serious. I pick it up again, taking another bite to confirm. Your father's eclairs might be technically perfect, but these are perfect and they have soul. They taste like autumn and home and comfort. They taste like you. His expression does something complicated. Relief and pride mix with something else I can't quite name. You really think so? I know so. I finish the eclair, licking maple glaze from my thumb. If these don't win, the judges are blind. Your cupcakes are going to win. I shake my head. Your eclairs are going to win. We stare at each other for a moment, and then we're both laughing. The kind of slightly hysterical laughter that comes from too much stress and too little sleep and the absurdity of both believing the other will win. We're ridiculous, I say, wiping my eyes. Completely. But he's smiling, genuine and warm. Though I have to say, showing up at your door past 10 with pastries is either really romantic or really desperate. Definitely romantic, I assure him. Desperate would be if you forgot the eclairs. Details. He leans against my counter, comfortable in my space in a way that makes my heart race. So. 6 days until we compete against each other. 6 days, I echo. And we're both convinced the other is going to win. Seems like it. That's either really wholesome or really stupid. Maybe both. I move closer without meaning to, drawn by some gravity I don't understand. Dorian? Yeah? Thank you. For coming here. For trusting me with your eclairs. I hesitate, then add, for everything, really. You've made this whole terrifying experience less terrifying. Right back at you. His voice has gone soft, intimate. I came to Juniper Falls to figure out who I am without my father's shadow. I didn't expect to find someone who sees me clearly and still thinks I'm worth something. My breath catches. You are worth something. You're worth everything. The words hang between us, too honest, too raw. I should take them back, should laugh it off, should maintain some kind of professional distance. Instead, I watch as Dorian's eyes darken, as his gaze drops to my mouth, as he takes a small step closer. Belle. My name is a question. Yed? It comes out breathless. I want to kiss you. He's giving me time to say no, to step back, to remind him that we're competitors and this is complicated. Is that okay? I should say no. Should be sensible. Should remember all the reasons this is a bad idea. Yes, I whisper instead. He closes the distance between us slowly, giving me every chance to change my mind. One hand comes up to cup my face. It's warm and slightly rough, smelling faintly of cinnamon and vanilla from baking. His thumb brushes my cheekbone, gentle and reverent. You have sugar, he murmurs, right here. Then he kisses me. It's soft at first, tentative, questioning. His lips are warm and taste like maple and brown butter, sweet and complex and perfect. I make a small sound in the back of my throat, and he takes it as permission, deepening the kiss. His other hand finds my waist, pulling me closer, and I rise on my toes to meet him better. The kiss turns from gentle to consuming. His hand slides into my hair, and I can feel flour transferring from my fingers to his shirt as I grip the fabric. He tastes like his eclairs, warmth and smoke and sweetness, and he kisses like he bakes. Carefully, thoroughly, paying attention to every detail. When he pulls back slightly to breathe, his forehead rests against mine. His breath is warm against my lips, uneven. I can feel his heartbeat where our chests are pressed together. His is racing as fast as mine. Belle, he breathes, and there's wonder in his voice. Yeah? I'm dizzy, disoriented, completely undone by a kiss that lasted maybe 30 seconds but felt like everything. I've wanted to do that since the waterfall. His thumb traces my bottom lip, making me shiver. Maybe before then. Since you told me my hot chocolate was good and I realized you weren't going to let me get away with anything. I laugh, soft and slightly breathless. I wanted you to do that at the waterfall. I thought you were going to, and then you didn't, and I spent few days wondering if I imagined the whole thing. You didn't imagine it. He kisses me again, brief and sweet. I chickened out. Thought it was too soon, too complicated. Another kiss, this one to the corner of my mouth. Turns out waiting just made it worse. Or better. I'm not sure which. Better, I decide, sliding my hands up to his shoulders. Definitely better. He smiles against my mouth and kisses me again. I taste maple and smoke and something essentially him. Something I could get addicted to if I'm not careful. His hand tightens in my hair, and I press closer, forgetting about the competition and the complications and everything except this moment, this feeling, this perfect rightness of being exactly where I'm supposed to be. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, he doesn't let me go. Just holds me close, his heart thundering against mine. This is complicated, he says eventually. Very. We're competing in 6 days. I know. One of us is going to win. One of us is going to lose. Probably. I pull back just enough to see his face. Does that change this? He considers for a moment, his expression serious. No. Does it change it for you? No. And I realize I mean it. Win or lose, this thing between us feels more important than a competition. More important than proving myself or stepping out of the shadows or any of the reasons I thought I was doing this. Good. He kisses my forehead, gentle and lingering. Because I'm pretty sure I'm falling for you, Belle Hartley. And I'd rather deal with the complication than pretend this isn't happening. My heart does a complete somersault. You're falling for me? Terrifyingly so. He says it like a confession. You and your thoughtful cupcakes and your quiet brilliance and the way you see through all my carefully constructed walls. He smiles, crooked and genuine. It's very inconvenient. I'm falling for you too, I admit, the word's easier than I expected. You and your brown butter eclairs and your terrible Instagram captions and the way you show up even when you're scared. My Instagram captions are not terrible. They're aggressively wholesome. That's the aesthetic. I laugh and kiss him again because I can, because he's here in my kitchen at 11 at night, because he tastes like maple and smiles against my mouth like he's exactly where he wants to be. When we finally pull apart for real, both of us slightly dazed, Dorian glances at the clock. I should go. It's late, and we both have work tomorrow. Probably. But I don't let go of his shirt. Bed, he says firmly. You need sleep. So do you. I'll sleep when I get home. He kisses me one more time. Slow and sweet and full of promise. Dream about winning. About your cupcakes destroying mine. Dream about your eclairs destroying my cupcakes, I counter. Deal. He heads for the door, then pauses. Belle? Yeah? Whatever happens at the competition, win, lose, epic disaster, this was worth it. You're worth it.
Chapter 10. Dorian. For days until the competition, and I can't stop smiling. You're doing it again, Maggie says, refilling the pastry case. The dopey face thing. I don't have a dopey face. You absolutely do. You've had it since Tuesday. Her grin is insufferable. Want to tell me what happened? No comment. Did you finally tell Belle how you feel? I focus very intently on steaming milk. Still no comment. So that's a yes. She's practically bouncing now. Something definitely happened. Did you kiss her? My silence is apparently answer enough, because Maggie lets out a squeal that makes the few customers in the shop look over. Keep it down, I mutter, but I'm smiling despite myself. I knew it! I knew you two had chemistry. Andrew owes me $20. She leans against the counter, delighted. So? How is it? Is she a good kisser? Are you dating now? Did you? Maggie. Boundaries. Fine, fine. But she's still grinning. I'm just happy for you. You've been less broody since you met her. More yourself. The words hit deeper than she probably intends. More myself. That's exactly what Belle makes me feel like. Not Dorian Hayes' disappointing son, not the Instagram influencer playing at being serious, just Dorian. Someone who might actually be enough exactly as he is. We've been texting constantly since Tuesday night. Nothing earth-shattering, just little updates about our days, terrible baking puns, the occasional flirty comment that makes my stomach flip. Last night she sent me a photo of her latest batch of Midnight Waltz along with a note. Getting nervous. What if I peaked too early? I'd responded, impossible. You're going to be amazing. Her reply came an hour later, stop being supportive. You're supposed to be my competition. Can't help it. You bring out my wholesome side. Your Instagram captions already did that. Rude. Accurate, but rude. The memory makes me smile as I work through the morning rush. It's Thursday, which means the shop is busier than usual. People stocking up on coffee, pastries, and reading material before the weekend. The pre-competition energy in town is palpable. Everywhere I go, people are talking about the bake-off, speculating about winners, placing friendly bets. It should make me nervous. Instead, I just feel excited. Ready. Like maybe I actually belong here. Around 11, during a brief lull, I'm wiping down tables near the window when I overhear a conversation from the bookstore section. Two women I recognize as regulars are browsing the cookbook section. Mrs. Patterson and her friend whose name I can never remember. I still can't believe little Belle Hartley is entering the competition, Mrs. Patterson says. She's always been so quiet. Leon must have pushed her into it, the friend responds. You know how she is. Always trying to get Belle to come out of her shell. Well, those cupcakes at caroling night were certainly impressive. They were good, the friend agrees, but there's something in her tone that makes my attention sharpen. Though I have to wonder how much was actually Belle's work and how much was Leah's recipe. I freeze, cloth suspended mid-wipe. What do you mean? Mrs. Patterson asks. Just that Belle's been washing dishes at Rising Hearts for years. Suddenly she's this amazing baker? It seems convenient. The friend lowers her voice, but not enough. I'm not saying she didn't help, but Leah's the real talent there. Everyone knows that. I suppose that's true, Mrs. Patterson says slowly. Though Belle did make them herself at caroling night. With Leah's guidance, probably. And her recipes. The friend picks up a cookbook, flipping through it. Don't get me wrong, I like Belle. She's a sweet girl. But entering a competition with your boss's recipes? That feels like cheating, doesn't it? Something hot and sharp rises in my chest. Before I can think better of it, I'm crossing the cafe, the cloth still in my hand. Excuse me, I say, and both women turn, surprised. I couldn't help overhearing. And you're wrong. Mrs. Patterson blinks. I'm sorry? About Belle. About her cupcakes being Leah's recipes. I'm aware that my voice is too loud, that other customers are starting to look over, but I can't seem to stop. They're completely Belle's creation. Her recipes, her techniques, her vision. Leah didn't help beyond encouraging her. The friend's face flushes. I didn't mean any offense. Didn't you? The words come out sharp. Because it sounded like you were accusing her of cheating. Of not being talented enough to create something that good on her own. Dorian, Maggie's voice comes from behind the counter, warning. But I'm not done. Belle has been baking those cupcakes for years. In secret, after hours, because she was too nervous to show anyone. And when she finally gets the courage to enter a competition, people like you assume she must be stealing someone else's work? I can hear my voice rising but can't seem to control it. She's one of the most talented bakers I've ever met. Those cupcakes are incredible. They are complex and thoughtful and absolutely hers. And if you can't see that, if you can't give her credit for her own talent, then maybe you don't deserve to taste them. The cafe has gone completely silent. Everyone is staring at me. Customers, Maggie, the two women who look somewhere between offended and mortified. Mrs. Patterson starts. She works harder than anyone I know, I continue, apparently unable to shut up. She puts her heart into every cupcake. She stays up late perfecting recipes, doubting herself because people have spent her whole life overlooking her. And now that she's finally being seen, you want to take that away from her? Give the credit to someone else? We didn't mean, the friend tries. Yes, you did. My hands are shaking. You meant exactly that. Because it's easier to believe sweet, quiet Belle couldn't possibly be that good than to admit you've been underestimating her all along. Dorian. Maggie's beside me now, her hand on my arm. That's enough. But it's not enough. It won't be enough until everyone in this town sees Belle the way I do. Sees her talent, her dedication, her absolute brilliance that has nothing to do with anyone else. She's going to win that competition, I say, quieter now but no less fierce. And when she does, I hope you remember this conversation. I turn and walk to the back room, my heart pounding, my face hot with anger and adrenaline. Behind me, I hear Maggie apologizing to the customers, smoothing things over with her usual grace. I lean against the wall, trying to catch my breath. What did I just do? The back door opens and Maggie slips in, her expression somewhere between exasperated and amused. So, she says. That happened. I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. You're not wrong. She leans against the opposite wall. Mrs. Patterson and Linda were being fair. Belle's cupcakes are absolutely her own recipes. But Dorian, she fixes me with a look. You can't fight Belle's battles for her. Especially not by making a scene in public. They were saying she was cheating. I know. I heard. Her voice is gentle. And it's sweet that you want to defend her. But think about how Belle's going to feel when she hears about this. Which she will, because this is Juniper Falls and gossip moves at the speed of light. My stomach drops. Oh yes. Maggie's expression is sympathetic. Belle's already anxious about being in the spotlight. And now the whole town is going to be talking about how her She pauses, choosing her words carefully. How the guy she's been seeing publicly defended her honor like some kind of knight in shining armor. I wince. That's going to make it worse, isn't it? Some people will think it's romantic. Others will think you are out of line. And Belle, she pauses. Belle might think you made her look weak. Like she needed rescuing. I wasn't trying to rescue her. I was trying to make sure people gave her credit for her own work. I know that. You know that. But will she? The rest of my shift passes in a blur of forced normalcy. I make drinks, serve customers, and try not to think about how badly I've screwed up. But every sympathetic look, every carefully neutral expression tells me the gossip is already spreading. By the time 6 o'clock rolls around and I'm locking up, my stomach is in knots. I step out the side door into the cold December evening, and my heart stops. Belle is waiting for me. She's leaning against the brick wall of the building, her cream-colored coat wrapped tight against the cold, her breath visible in small clouds. When she sees me, she straightens, but her expression isn't angry like I feared. It's something more complicated. Hey, she says quietly. Belle. I don't know how to finish that sentence. We need to talk. It's not a question. Can we go somewhere? Maybe your apartment? I nod, not trusting my voice. We climb the narrow stairs in silence, and the short distance feels endless. When we reach my door, my hand shakes slightly as I unlock it. My apartment is small. One room that serves as bedroom and living space, a tiny kitchen, bathroom with temperamental water. I've barely decorated, and suddenly I'm self-conscious about the sparse furnishings, the unmade bed, the eclair recipe notes scattered across my small table. Belle doesn't seem to notice any of it. She stands near the kitchen, and I can see her trying to organize her thoughts, her fingers playing with the hem of her coat. So, she says finally, her voice quieter than I expected. I heard about this morning. Belle. Clara Langford came by the bakery. She's not looking at me, focusing instead on a spot over my shoulder. She seemed to think I'd be thrilled. That it was romantic. She finally meets my eyes, and there's pain there that makes my chest ache. But I'm not thrilled, Dorian. I'm mortified. I didn't mean to embarrass you. They were saying your cupcakes were Leah's recipes. I know what they were saying. Her voice is still soft, but there's a tremor in it. And part of me, she wraps her arms around herself. Part of me is grateful you defended me. That you believe in my work enough to say those things. But I can hear it coming. But I didn't need you to. She looks at me, and her eyes are shining with unshed tears. I didn't need you to fight that battle for me. Her voice cracks slightly. Now everyone's talking about how sweet it is that you stood up for me. How lucky I am to have someone who believes in me that much. That's not a bad thing. It makes me look weak. The words come out small, hurt. Like I can't handle a little gossip. Like quiet Belle needs someone to speak up for her because she can't speak up for herself. That's not what I was trying to do. I know. She swipes at her eyes, frustrated with herself for crying. I know your intentions were good. But Dorian, do you understand what you've done? You've been helping me practice my presentation. Teaching me to be more confident. And then the first time someone questions my work, you jump in and handle it for me. She shakes her head. What does that say? That I can only be confident when you're there to back me up? The accusation hits hard because she's right. I didn't think of it that way. Of course you didn't. Her voice is tired, sad. Because you're used to being the one who speaks up. The one who fights. But I'm not you, Dorian. I handle things differently. More quietly. And that's okay. It has to be okay. It is okay. Belle, I think you're incredible. Do you? She looks at me, vulnerable and uncertain. Or do you think I could be incredible if I was just a little louder? A little more confident? A little more like you? That's not fair. Maybe not. She sits down on my couch, suddenly looking exhausted. But I need to know. Is this, she gestures between us. Is this real? Or am I some kind of project for you? The shy baker you can help transform? Belle, no. That's not what this is. Then what is it? She's watching me carefully now, trying to read the truth. Because sometimes it feels like you see potential in me that I don't see in myself. And that's nice, it really is. But it also makes me wonder. Her voice drops. If I'm not confident enough, not bold enough, will you still want me? The question hangs in the air, heavy with all her insecurities. Yes. The word comes out fierce, absolute. Belle, yes. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be you. Quiet, thoughtful, careful. All of it. That's what I fell for. Then why did you feel like you had to do it at all? Her voice is so soft, so sad. Those women weren't talking to me. They were just gossiping. And yes, it was hurtful, but Dorian, gossip happens. Especially in a small town. I've dealt with people underestimating me my whole life. But you shouldn't have to. That's not your decision to make. She's not angry, just tired. Sad. By making a scene, by defending me so publicly, you made it bigger than it needed to be. Now instead of two women gossiping in a bookstore, the whole town is talking about it. About me. About us. You turned me into the center of attention in exactly the way I didn't want. I don't have a good answer. I couldn't stand hearing them diminish you, I admit. You've worked so hard, and you deserve recognition. And I stop, the deeper truth sitting heavy on my tongue. And, she prompts gently. I'm terrified you'll keep hiding. The words spill out. You told me I was proving myself by showing up. And you're right. But Belle, you need to show up too. You're so talented, but you hide it. You let other people take credit. You diminish your own work before anyone else can. And I thought if I could just make people see how brilliant you are, maybe you'd start to see it too. She's quiet for a long moment, tears sliding down her cheeks. When she speaks, her voice is barely above a whisper. So that's what you think? That I'm hiding? That I'm not trying hard enough to be seen? That's not what I meant. Isn't it? She stands, wrapping her coat tighter around herself like armor. You've been so focused on making me more confident, more visible, more something. But Dorian, I am trying. Entering this competition? That's me trying. Practicing presentations with you? That's me trying. Making those cupcakes at caroling night, taking orders, standing in front of people even though it terrifies me? That's all me trying. I know that. Belle, I know. Do you? Her voice breaks. Because it sounds like no matter what I do, it's not enough. I'm still hiding. Still letting people underestimate me. Still not showing up the way you think I should. That's not fair. Maybe not. She moves toward the door, and I can see her pulling away, closing off. But I can't keep wondering if I'm enough for you. Belle, please. I need to go. She opens the door, but pauses, not looking at me. For what it's worth, what you said this morning about my cupcakes. About my talent? I believe you meant it. Her voice cracks slightly. But I also think you meant it when you said I need to show up. That I'm hiding. And maybe that's how you'll always see me. As someone who needs to be pushed, defended, fixed. Belle, no. But she's already gone, the door closing behind her with a soft click that sounds deafening in the silence.
Chapter 11. Belle. I don't go to work Friday morning. Instead, I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, my phone face down on the nightstand because I can't bear to see if Dorian has texted. My recipe journal sits on my kitchen counter, open to the page where Midnight Waltz's final version is written in my careful handwriting. I should be practicing. Perfecting. The competition is in 3 days. But every time I think about standing on that stage, all I can hear is Dorian's voice, "You need to show up. You're hiding." Maybe he's right and I am hiding. Maybe I've always been hiding, and entering this competition was just another way to pretend I'm brave when I'm really not. My phone buzzes. I ignore it. It buzzes again. And again. Finally, I flip it over. 3 texts from Leah. "Where are you? Are you okay? Belle, answer me. I'm coming over." I groan and pull the pillow over my face. But 20 minutes later, there's a knock at my door, insistent and unrelenting. "I know you're in there," Leah calls through the door. "I can see your shadow moving. Let me in or I'm using the spare key you gave me." I drag myself out of bed and open the door. Leah takes one look at me, unwashed hair, pajamas, red-rimmed eyes, and pushes past me into the apartment. "Okay," she says, setting down a bag that smells like fresh muffins. "Talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "Belle Hartley, you missed work without calling, you look like you haven't slept, and the whole town is buzzing about Dorian's dramatic defense of your honor yesterday." She crosses her arms. So yes, there's definitely something to talk about. I sink onto my couch, pulling my knees to my chest. I'm dropping out of the competition. What? No. Absolutely not. Everyone's going to be watching me, talking about me, wondering if my cupcakes are really mine or if you made them. And Dorian, my voice breaks. He thinks I'm hiding. That I need to be fixed. And maybe he's right. He's not right. Leah sits beside me, her voice fierce. "Belle, listen to me. You are not hiding. You are being yourself. And your way of showing up, that's just as valid as anyone else's way. But it's not enough. I'm not loud enough, confident enough. Stop." She takes my hands in hers. "You are enough. Exactly as you are. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve you, including Dorian Hayes." Tears spill down my cheeks. I thought he saw me. Really saw me. But yesterday, when he defended me like that, when he said I need to show up more, I swipe at my eyes. It made me realize he's just like everyone else. He sees potential, not me. He sees what I could be, not what I am. Did he say that? He said I'm hiding. That I let people underestimate me. That I diminish my own work. The words taste bitter. And maybe he's not wrong, but that's who I am. I don't know how to be louder or bolder or more. And if that's not enough for him, then he's a fool, Leah finishes firmly. Belle, you can't drop out of this competition because of him. You can't let his inability to appreciate you make you doubt yourself. It's not just him. It's everyone. Mrs. Patterson and her friend, all the people who think you made my recipes, all the people who'll be watching me at the competition, waiting for me to prove I'm actually talented. I shake my head. I can't do it. I thought I could, but I can't. Leah is quiet for a moment, then stands and moves to my kitchen counter where my recipe journal sits open. She picks it up, flipping through the pages filled with my handwriting, my sketches, my carefully documented experiments. "Do you know what I see when I look at these?" she asks. "Failed attempts?" I see passion. Dedication. Someone who cares so deeply about creating something special that she documents every single detail. She brings the journal over, showing me page after page. "Belle, you don't just bake. You create art. You tell stories. Every single one of these recipes has a piece of your heart in it. But what if that's not enough? What if the judges taste them and think they're just nice? Cute but basic? Then the judges are wrong." Leah's voice is absolute. "But I don't think they will be. I've been baking for a long time, and I've never created anything as thoughtful, as perfectly balanced, as emotionally resonant as your Midnight Waltz. That cupcake isn't just good. It's brilliant. Dorian said that too." The words come out small. But then he also said I'm hiding. He might be scared. Leah sits back down beside me. Maybe he's projecting his own fears onto you. Or he's just a guy who made a mistake because he cares too much and doesn't know how to show it properly. She squeezes my hand. Belle, you can't let his mistakes become your reason to quit. I entered you in this competition because I believe in you. Because I've watched you create magic for years and I was tired of you hiding it. Remember? I do remember. The way I felt when she told me she'd registered me. I was terrified, yes, but also secretly thrilled that someone believed in me enough to push me forward. And later that night with my recipe journal, deciding to refine Midnight Waltz not to impress Dorian or win a prize, but to prove to myself that my quiet way of creating has value. I'm scared, I whisper. I know. But you're brave enough to do it anyway. What if I fail? What if you succeed? Leah challenges. What if you get up there, present your cupcakes in your own quiet, beautiful way, and the judges see exactly what I see? What everyone who tasted them at caroling night saw? What if you prove that being yourself is enough? And what about Dorian? Leah's expression softens. What about him? He'll be there. Competing against me. Watching me. Probably still thinking I need to be fixed. Then prove him wrong. Her voice is gentle but firm. Show him, show everyone, that you don't need fixing. That you're already perfect exactly as you are. I look at my recipe journal, at all those careful notes and sketches. At the evidence of hours spent perfecting flavors, adjusting ratios, creating something that's completely, undeniably mine. I don't want to see him, I say finally. You don't have to see him before the competition. Focus on your cupcakes. Practice your presentation. Take care of yourself. Leah stands, pulling me up with her. And on Saturday, you show up and you shine. In your own way. Not his way. Yours. Okay, I say, my voice stronger than I feel. I'll do it. I'll compete. That's my girl. Leah pulls me into a hug. Now, drink some coffee, take a shower, and get back to that kitchen. You have 3 days to perfect the presentation that's going to blow everyone away.
Chapter 12. Dorian. 2 days until the competition, and I can't stop staring at my eclairs. They're perfect. Technically flawless. The choux pastry is crisp and golden, the brown butter pastry cream is smooth and rich, the maple glaze gleams under the kitchen lights. Even the candied orange peel curls are identical, each one placed with precision. They're exactly what I set out to create when I entered this competition. And they mean absolutely nothing. I've been up since 4 a.m., making batch after batch, trying to recapture whatever it was I felt when I first developed this recipe. The excitement. The pride. The sense that I was finally creating something that was mine, not my father's. But all I can think about is Belle's face when she left my apartment. The resignation in her eyes. The way her voice broke when she said maybe you just see a different version of not enough. My phone sits on the counter, silent. I've picked it up a dozen times to text her, to call her, to somehow fix what I broke. But every time, I remember what she said. I was so focused on proving I could see talent where my father couldn't, and I missed the most important thing. Belle didn't need me to see her talent. She needed me to trust her to share it in her own way. And I failed. The apartment above Novel Sips feels suffocating. I grab my coat and head out into the cold December morning, walking without direction through the quiet pre-dawn streets. Snow crunches under my boots, and my breath makes small clouds in the frigid air. I find myself at the community center without consciously deciding to go there. The building is dark except for a single light in one of the back rooms. As I get closer, I see a familiar figure through the window, arranging what looks like chairs in a circle. Hazel Elliott. Of course it's Hazel. The woman seems to materialize wherever she's needed most. I knock softly, and she looks up, completely unsurprised to see me standing there at 5:30 in the morning. Dorian, dear. She opens the door, warm air rushing out. Come in before you freeze. I follow her inside, into a meeting room set up for some kind of event. Hazel gestures to one of the chairs, and I sit, suddenly exhausted. Can't sleep, she asks, settling into the chair across from me. Can't think, I admit. Can't do anything except replay the same conversation over and over. With Belle? I nod. I heard her. I was trying to help, trying to defend her, but all I did was make her feel like she wasn't enough. Like she needed fixing. I run my hands through my hair. And the worst part is, I didn't even realize I was doing it until she told me. Hazel is quiet for a moment, her sharp green eyes studying me. Why did you enter the competition, Dorian? The question catches me off guard. To prove I'm more than my father's son. To show I can create something that's mine. And have you? Created something that's yours? I think about the eclairs sitting in my apartment. Yes. Something that's different from his. Better, maybe. Then you've already proven what you set out to prove. She leans forward slightly. So why are you still competing? Because, I stop. Why am I still competing? Because I want to win. Because I want people to see that I'm talented. Do you? Or do you want Belle to see it? The words hit like a punch to the gut. That's not. Isn't it? Hazel's voice is gentle but relentless. You've spent weeks helping her, encouraging her, championing her. And then when someone questioned her talent, you immediately jumped in to defend her. Why? Because they were saying she cheated. No, dear. That's the excuse. She tilts her head. The real reason is simpler than that. You wanted to protect her. To fix the situation. To make sure everyone saw what you saw. She pauses. But Dorian, in doing that, what message did you send to Belle? I think about Belle's words, like quiet Belle can't handle herself. Like she needs someone louder, someone more confident to speak for her. That I didn't trust her to handle it herself, I say quietly. Exactly. Hazel's expression is kind but firm. You've spent your whole life with a father who never trusted you to do anything right. Who always stepped in, took over, told you that you weren't good enough. And now, without meaning to, you've done the same thing to Belle. Different motivation, same result. You made her feel like she wasn't capable of handling things on her own. The truth of it hits hard. I was trying to help. I know you were. But help that isn't asked for often feels like criticism. Like you're saying you can't do this, so I'll do it for you. She leans forward. Belle is quiet, yes. But she's not weak. She's been handling people underestimating her for her entire life. She didn't need you to fight that battle. She needed you to trust that she knew how to fight it herself. That I didn't trust her to handle it herself, I say quietly. Exactly. Hazel's expression is kind but firm. You've spent your whole life with a father who never trusted you to do anything right. Who always stepped in, took over, told you that you weren't good enough. And now, without meaning to, you've done the same thing to Belle. Different motivation, same result. You made her feel like she wasn't capable of handling things on her own. I think about all the times my father corrected me in the kitchen, took over when I was doing it wrong, dismissed my attempts before I could finish. How small it made me feel. How incapable. And I did that to Belle. I ruined everything, I say quietly. Not everything. Just complicated it. Hazel sits back. The question is, what are you going to do now? I don't know. She asked for space. She said she needs to prove to herself that she can do this without me. Smart girl. So I should just leave her alone? Not try to apologize again? You've already apologized. What Belle needs now isn't more words. It's proof that you heard her. That you understand. Hazel stands, moving to the window where dawn is starting to lighten the sky. And that means stepping back. Really stepping back. But the competition isn't about proving yourself to the town, Dorian. It's about proving to yourself that you can love out loud. She turns to face me. That you can support someone without overshadowing them. That you can celebrate their success even when you're not part of the story. Her words settle into my chest, heavy and true. You're saying I should withdraw from the competition. I'm saying you should think about why you're really competing. If it's still about proving you're more than your father's son, then you've already done that. Those eclairs prove it. She moves closer. But if you're competing because you want to stand on that stage next to Belle, because you want to share that moment with her, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. She needs to have this moment for herself. Without you there, competing against her or supporting her or any of it. But I worked so hard on those eclairs. And they'll still be yours whether you compete with them or not. Her voice is gentle. The question is, what matters more? Showing this town that you're talented? Or showing Belle that you trust her enough to let her shine without you? I think about my eclairs, sitting perfect and untasted in my apartment. About the hours I spent perfecting them, the pride I felt when I finally got them right. About how much I wanted to stand on that stage and prove I was more than my father's disappointing son. And then I think about Belle's face when she left my apartment. The resignation. The hurt. The certainty that I saw her is not enough. She deserves to do this without my shadow over her, I say finally. She does. Hazel's smile is warm, approving. And Dorian? Choosing to step back doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It means you've learned the difference between loving someone and needing to be their hero. What if she doesn't win? Then she doesn't win. But at least she'll have tried on her own terms. Without worrying about you, about competition, about any of it. Hazel moves toward the door. And regardless of what happens, she'll know that you trusted her enough to let her have this moment. Should I tell her? That I'm withdrawing? No. Hazel's voice is firm. Don't make this about you or your sacrifice. Just step back quietly. Let her focus on her cupcakes, her presentation, her moment. Don't give her one more thing to worry about or feel guilty about. But how will she know? She'll figure it out eventually. Or she won't. Either way, you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Her eyes twinkle. Trust the quiet gestures, dear. They often speak louder than grand declarations. I stand, feeling the weight of the decision settling over me. How do I withdraw? Call Robert Maxwell. Tell him personal reasons. He'll understand and he won't press. She opens the door, letting in the cold morning air. And then you let Belle have her competition. You let her shine. And after? After, you show her, with actions, not words, that you've learned. That you see her clearly now. That you trust her. Hazel's smile is gentle. But that's a problem for after the competition. Right now, you focus on doing the right thing. I step out into the December morning, my breath visible, my heart both heavy and light. The sun is starting to rise, painting the snow-covered streets in shades of pink and gold. Hazel? I turn back. Thank you. Don't thank me, dear. Thank yourself for being brave enough to choose love over ego. The door closes, and I'm alone in the quiet morning. I pull out my phone and dial Robert Maxwell's number before I can talk myself out of it. Robert? It's Dorian Hayes. I need to withdraw from the holiday bake-off. Yes, I'm sure. Personal reasons. No, everything's fine. I pause, looking at the moon casting its silvery glow across Main Street. I realized I was competing for the wrong reasons. After I hang up, I stand in the quiet morning, feeling lighter than I have in weeks. The eclairs are still in my apartment, still perfect, still proof that I can create something meaningful. But they're no longer proof I need to show anyone. They're just beautiful. Just mine. Just enough.
Chapter 13. Belle. The community center has been transformed into something magical. White lights twinkle from every surface, garland wraps around the stage railings, and the scent of cinnamon and pine fills the air. Long tables line one wall, each station marked with a contestant number. Mine is 7. Right in the middle, impossible to hide. My hands shake as I carefully arrange my cupcakes on the display stand. 12 perfect midnight waltz creations, each one a testament to hours of practice, refinement, obsession. The dark chocolate cake catches the light, the vanilla buttercream swirls look like winter wind, and the crystallized violets and ginger flowers add delicate pops of color and texture. They're beautiful. They're mine. And I'm absolutely terrified. Belle, honey, you're going to wear a hole in that tablecloth. Leah appears at my elbow, steadying my trembling hands. Breathe. I can't. My voice comes out small. There are so many people. And there are. The audience section is packed. It looks like half of Juniper Falls has turned out for the holiday bake-off. I see familiar faces everywhere. Clara Langford with her book club friends, Dylan Holloway and his sister Emily, and Hazel Elliott sitting front and center with her knowing smile. Even Mrs. Patterson and her friend are here. What I don't see is Dorian. I've been scanning the crowd since I arrived, telling myself I'm not looking for him, that I don't care if he's here or not. But my heart sinks a little with every face that isn't his. He's not here yet, Leah says gently, reading my mind. I'm sure he'll be here any minute. I don't care if he comes. The lie tastes bitter. Sure you don't. She squeezes my shoulder. Now, remember what we practiced. Stand tall, speak clearly, and trust your work. These cupcakes are incredible. Let them speak for themselves. Robert Maxwell takes the stage, his voice booming through the microphone. Welcome, everyone, to the Juniper Falls Holiday Bake-Off. We have 14 talented bakers competing today. 14. Not 15. My heart does a complicated flip, but I force myself to focus on Robert's words about judging criteria, presentation timing, and the schedule for the afternoon. The judges sit at a table near the stage. There's a pastry chef from Charlotte, a food blogger from Asheville, and Martha Brooks, former postmaster and legendary baker. Contestants, you'll have 5 minutes to present your creation to the judges, Robert continues. Tell us about your inspiration, your techniques, what makes your dessert special. Then the judges will taste and ask questions. We'll announce winners at 4 o'clock. 5 minutes. I have to talk for 5 minutes. My throat goes dry. First up, Henry Caldwell with his traditional fruitcake. The competition begins. I watch contestant after contestant take the stage. Some are confident, some nervous, all of them are braver than I feel. Henry's presentation is polished and slightly pompous. Sarah Peterson's peppermint bark brownies get enthusiastic applause. Mark Webb makes the crowd laugh with his story about his grandmother's gingerbread recipe. Number 7, Maribelle Hartley. My heart stops. This is it. This is the moment I've been dreading and preparing for and building toward. I pick up my display tray with shaking hands and walk toward the stage. The lights are brighter than I expected, the crowd larger. I can hear my pulse pounding in my ears, can feel every eye on me. I set the tray on the judge's table and turn to face the microphone. And freeze. All those people. All those eyes. Watching me. Waiting for me to speak, to explain, to prove I deserve to be here. My mind goes completely blank. I open my mouth. Nothing comes out. The silence stretches. I can see the judges exchanging glances. Hear whispers from the crowd. Feel my face burning with embarrassment. This is it. This is the moment I fail. Not because my cupcakes aren't good enough, but because I'm not brave enough to talk about them. My voice cracks. These are. The back door of the community center opens, letting in a blast of cold air and a shaft of winter sunlight. And Dorian walks in. He's not carrying anything. No eclairs, no presentation tray. He's just in his coat and scarf, his hair windswept, his eyes searching the crowd until they land on me. For a moment, we just look at each other. And in his eyes, I see something that makes my chest ache. It's not pity or disappointment, but absolute certainty. Like he knows I can do this. Like he's never doubted it for a second. He nods once, small and encouraging. Then he moves to stand at the back of the crowd, giving me space. I take a shaky breath and turn back to the microphone. These are Midnight Waltz cupcakes, I say, and my voice is stronger now. Not loud, but clear. The name comes from my grandmother. She used to bake at night when she couldn't sleep, and she'd hum this jazz melody while she worked. Everything she made tasted like love and midnight and possibility. The words flow easier now, the ones I practiced with Dorian, the ones I wrote and rewrote in my journal. I talk about the dark chocolate and espresso, about the warmth of cinnamon and cardamom, about the unexpected bite of black pepper that makes people pause and wonder. About the crystallized violets and ginger. How they are delicate but strong, like my grandmother, like the memories I'm trying to honor. I talk about how baking, for me, is about creating quiet beauty. About making something that doesn't demand attention but rewards it when given. About trusting subtle flavors and careful technique instead of flash and boldness. These cupcakes aren't revolutionary, I finish. They're not loud or trendy or trying to be something they're not. I hope that they are thoughtful and honest. And I hope when you taste them, you'll feel what I felt in that kitchen with my grandmother all these years ago. I step back from the microphone, my heart pounding, hardly believing I just did that. The judges lean forward, examining my cupcakes with the kind of focused attention that makes me nervous and proud in equal measure. The pastry chef picks one up, studying the swirl pattern, the flower placement. The food blogger takes a photo. Martha Brooks smiles at me like she knows something I don't. They taste. All three of them, taking careful bites, their expressions going through shifts I can't quite read. Ms. Hartley, the pastry chef says, can you tell us about your technique for the buttercream? The texture is remarkably smooth. I answer, explaining my process, my choices. They ask about the black pepper, about the crystallized flowers, about whether I've ever considered selling these commercially. Each question I answer with more confidence, finding my voice in the talking about the thing I love most. When I finally step down from the stage, my legs feel like jelly. Leah pulls me into a fierce hug. You did it, she whispers. Belle, you were amazing. I almost froze. But you didn't. You found your courage and you spoke from your heart and it was perfect. I look toward the back of the room, but Dorian is gone. Like he was never there at all. The judges deliberate for what feels like hours. I stand by my station, watching them taste again, confer quietly, make notes. Other contestants mill around nervously, and I catch snippets of conversation. People are speculating about winners, complimenting each other's work, already making plans for next year. Attention, everyone! Robert's voice booms through the speakers. The judges have made their decisions. If all contestants could please return to their stations. My heart pounds as I move back to my table. This is it. The moment that determines whether all of this, the fear, the practice, the heartbreak, was worth it. In third place, Robert announces, goes to Sarah Peterson with her peppermint bark brownies. Applause. Sarah's delighted shriek. I clap along, my hands numb. In second place, with his grandmother's gingerbread. Mark Webb. More applause. Mark looks thrilled, pumping his fist in victory. And first place, with his classic fruitcake executed to perfection. Henry Caldwell. The crowd erupts. Henry takes the stage, accepting his blue ribbon with a gracious bow, and I feel nothing. No disappointment, no jealousy. Just a strange sort of peace. I didn't win. But I also didn't fail. I stood up there and claimed my work and spoke from my heart. And that's more than I thought I could do. Before we close, Robert continues, the judges would like to give a special commendation to Maribelle Hartley for her Midnight Waltz cupcakes. While they didn't place in the top 3, the judges unanimously agreed they were the most innovative and emotionally resonant entry in the competition. My face goes hot as applause rises. Martha Brooks catches my eye and nods, her expression warm and approving. Additionally, Robert adds, several local businesses have already approached Ms. Hartley about placing orders. Belle, if you could see the judge's table after we close. The afternoon blurs after that. People crowd around my station, tasting the sample cupcakes I set aside, complimenting my presentation, asking about availability. Clara Langford wants 24 for a holiday party. Dylan Holloway wants to feature them at Highland Hollow's Christmas event. Even Mrs. Patterson approaches, sheepish but genuine, apologizing for her earlier comments and asking about a standing weekly order for her book club. My phone fills with messages. Orders. Requests. People who tasted my work and want more. I should be ecstatic. This is more success than I ever imagined. But all I can think about is Dorian. The way he showed up just long enough to see me speak, then disappeared. The way he withdrew from the competition entirely. By the time the crowd finally thins, it's nearly 5 o'clock. The sun is setting, and someone has turned on the outdoor lights. White twinkle lights are strung across the community center's patio, making everything look like a winter wonderland. I step outside, needing air, needing space to process everything that just happened. And there, leaning against the railing with snow starting to fall around him, is Dorian. He looks up when the door opens, and our eyes meet. For a moment, neither of us moves. Then he straightens, his hands in his coat pockets, his expression nervous. "Hey," he says softly. "Hey." I move closer, my heart doing complicated things in my chest. "You withdrew." "I did." "Why?" He's quiet for a moment, snow catching in his dark hair. "Because I was competing for the wrong reasons. And because you deserved to have that moment without me there, competing against you or overshadowing you or any of it." "Dorian. Let me finish. Please." He takes a breath. "I came to Juniper Falls to prove I was more than my father's son. To show I could create something meaningful on my own. And I did that. The eclairs proved it. But somewhere along the way, I got confused about what I was really trying to prove." I wait, letting him find his words. "I thought I was helping you. Encouraging you. But really, I was doing to you what my father always did to me. I was making you feel like you weren't enough as you were. Like you needed to be fixed or defended or made more visible." His voice drops. "And Belle, I'm so sorry. You were always enough. You've always been brilliant. I just couldn't see it clearly because I was too busy trying to prove something about myself." The snow falls heavier now, soft and silent between us. "You stepped aside," I say quietly. "From the competition. For me. Not for you. For us." He moves closer, close enough that I can see the gold flecks in his eyes. "Because I finally understood what you were trying to tell me. That loving someone doesn't mean fixing them or fighting for them or making them shine brighter. It means trusting them. Believing in them. And then stepping back and letting them prove it themselves. But you worked so hard on those eclairs. And they're still mine. They'll always be mine." He smiles, small and genuine. "But Belle, watching you up there today, speaking from your heart, claiming your work, being brave in your own quiet way, that mattered more to me than any ribbon. You were incredible. Not because I helped you practice or believed in you or any of that. But because you are incredible. And I'm sorry it took me so long to understand the difference." Tears prick at my eyes. "I was so scared when I got up there. And then you walked in, and my voice catches. I found my courage. Not because you were going to defend me or speak for me, but because I could see in your eyes that you believed I could do it myself. I never doubted it." His hand comes up to cup my cheek, warm against the cold. "Belle, I fell for you because of your quiet brilliance. Because of the way you create beauty without demanding attention. Because you're thoughtful and careful and genuine in a world that's often too loud. I don't want you to be more of anything. I just want you to be you. Even if I don't win competitions? Especially then." He brushes a snowflake from my cheek with his thumb. Though for the record, that commendation from the judges? That's huge. And your order book filling up? That's success that matters more than any ribbon. I laugh through my tears. Mrs. Patterson apologized to me. Good. She should have. His expression turned serious. Belle, I know I hurt you. I know I made you question whether I saw you for who you really are. And I understand if you need more time, or if you can't forgive me, or if. I kiss him. I rise on my toes and press my lips to his, cutting off his spiral of worry with action instead of words. He makes a surprised sound, then his arms come around me, pulling me close as the kiss deepens. He tastes like snow and coffee and promise. His lips are cold but warm up quickly, and when he pulls me closer, I feel safe and seen and absolutely certain that this is what I've been waiting for. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, he rests his forehead against mine. So, he murmurs, does that mean you forgive me? It means I'm willing to try. I pull back enough to see his face. If you promise to trust me. To let me handle things my way, even when my way is quieter than yours. I promise. He says it without hesitation. I'm here to stay. If you'll have me. I'll have you. The words come out sure, certain. But no more defending my honor in public. No more making scenes. If someone says something about my work, you'll handle it yourself. In your own way. In your own time. He smiles. And I'll trust you to do it. Good. I kiss him again, softer this time. Though for the record, what you said this morning, about my cupcakes being the best you've ever tasted, I did appreciate that. Even if I wish you'd said it to me first. I say it to you now. His arms tighten around me. Your cupcakes are brilliant. You are brilliant. And I'm the luckiest man in Juniper Falls because you're giving me another chance. Just one more, I warn, but I'm smiling. Don't mess it up. I won't. He kisses my forehead, my cheeks, the tip of my nose. I promise, Belle. I'm going to love you exactly as you are. That's all I need. We stand there in the falling snow, wrapped in each other's arms, the twinkle lights making everything magical. Inside, I can hear the sounds of the party continuing. There's laughter and conversation and the celebration of a competition well done. But out here, it's just us. This moment and the quiet promise of something real and lasting and built on trust instead of need. I glance back and there's Hazel, visible through the glass, raising her coffee cup in a toast and looking entirely too pleased with herself. I laugh and let Dorian lead me back inside, into the warmth and light and the future we're building together. A future where I'm enough exactly as I am. Where quiet can be powerful. Where thoughtful can be brilliant. And where love means trusting someone enough to let them shine in their own way, even when it's different from yours. Epilogue. Belle. Juniper Falls, 9 months later. The library is warm and bustling when I arrive, the scent of old books and fresh coffee mixing with the crisp autumn air that follows me through the door. I balance the tray of autumn cupcakes carefully as I push inside, using my hip to keep the door from swinging closed too quickly. Through the windows, I see leaves just starting to hint at gold, and the shop windows along Main Street have begun their slow transition from summer pastels to rich autumn tones. Belle. Grace Lawson looks up from where she's arranging chairs in the community room, her face brightening with recognition. Perfect timing. The Books and Bites event starts in 20 minutes, and I was just worrying about the refreshment table looking bare. Can't have that. I make my way to the long table set against the wall, already laden with apple cider in a glass dispenser and a stack of autumn-themed napkins. Where would you like these? Right in the center, I think. Grace joins me, and I notice how settled she looks. Her happiness radiates from the inside out. There's a contentment about her that wasn't there when I first met her years ago. What flavors did you bring? Maple pecan, spiced apple cider, and pumpkin chai. I carefully arrange the cupcakes on the tiered stand I brought, each one decorated with a small fondant leaf in shades of amber, burgundy, and gold. All the fall favorites. They're beautiful. Grace leans in, studying the delicate details. Belle, your work has become so refined. These look like they belong in a magazine. Heat rises to my cheeks, but I don't deflect the compliment the way I would have a year ago. Thank you. I've been practicing. It shows. A young woman emerges from between the stacks, her arms full of music books. She has dark hair pulled back in a practical bun and an air of quiet focus that feels immediately familiar. She moves with careful precision, setting the books down on a nearby table before noticing us. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you had someone here. Her voice is soft, a little uncertain. You're fine, Lydia. Come meet Belle. Grace gestures between us. Belle Hartley, Lydia Harper. Lydia's face brightens with recognition. Your displays at the bakery always look so beautiful. I walk past Rising Hearts almost every day on my way here. Thank you. You should stop in sometime. I realize we've probably seen each other around town dozens of times but never actually talked. I can't believe we haven't properly met before now. I know. Small town, but we all get caught up in our routines. Lydia moves closer, her gaze drawn to the cupcakes. I've been meaning to try your cupcakes forever, but I always seem to walk by right after lunch when I'm too full. Well, you're welcome anytime. Pride colors my voice. Fair warning though, they're pretty addictive. I've heard. Lydia smiles. These are gorgeous. The little leaves, did you make those yourself? I nod. Fondant. It's easier than it looks once you get the hang of it. I doubt that. Her smile turns rueful. I can barely frost a cake without it looking like a disaster. I used to feel the same way. The admission comes easily now. It just takes practice. And patience. Grace glances at the clock on the wall. Lydia, did you get those carol collections organized? Walt Bennett will be here any minute to finalize the Christmas choir plans. All set. Lydia gestures to a neat display on a nearby table. The music books are arranged by difficulty level, with a small handwritten sign that reads Join the Juniper Falls Christmas Choir. I put the beginner pieces in front, like you suggested. Perfect. Thank you. Grace turns to me. Walt's decided to restart the church choir this year. He's been recruiting volunteers all month. That sounds lovely. I adjust one of the cupcakes that's sitting slightly crooked. Christmas will be here before we know it. Don't remind me. But Grace is smiling. Though I have to admit, I love this time of year. That anticipation in the air, everyone getting ready for the holidays. Lydia carefully straightens a stack of beginner carol books, her movements precise and thoughtful. There's something in the way she works, quietly efficient, focused on getting every detail right, that reminds me of myself. Not in an obvious way, but in the energy. The sense that she's more comfortable with tasks than with being the center of attention. Actually, I was wondering, Lydia says, glancing at me. Are you planning to join the Christmas choir? I know you must be busy with the bakery, but I haven't thought about it, I admit. Singing in front of people sounds terrifying. Tell me about it. Lydia laughs softly. But Walt's very persuasive. He's already got me signed up to help with rehearsals even though I told him I'm better with organizing sheet music than actually singing. That sounds familiar. I smile at her, feeling an instant kinship. Maybe I'll think about it. If you do decide to join, it would be nice to see a familiar face there. The door opens, bringing in a gust of autumn air and an older gentleman with silver hair and an armful of sheet music. Walt Bennett, I presume. Lydia. Grace, he calls out cheerfully. Ready to plan the best Christmas choir Juniper Falls has ever heard? I take that as my cue. I should get going. Good luck with the event, Grace. And Lydia, stop by the bakery anytime. I will. Thank you, Belle. As I make my way to the door, I pause at the community bulletin board. Among the usual announcements is a bright red flyer. Juniper Falls Christmas Choir. All voices welcome, no experience necessary. First rehearsal, September 28, 7 p.m. Contact Walt Bennett for details. Christmas. Already. It seems like just yesterday I was standing in front of judges at the holiday bake-off, trembling with nerves, finding my voice. And now it's almost time for another holiday season. Another chance to celebrate, to create, to be part of this community that's become home. I smile and push through the door, stepping back out into the crisp September afternoon. The leaves are just beginning to turn, painting Main Street in early autumn colors. Through shop windows, I can see the subtle shift happening. Summer displays make way for pumpkins and plaid, light fabrics give way to cozy textures. Change is in the air. But this time, instead of being afraid of it, I'm looking forward to it. The afternoon light slants golden through Rising Hearts Bakery's windows when I return, casting warm shadows across the display cases. My corner, Belle's Bites, glows with autumn colors. Russet and amber cupcakes arranged in careful tiers, each one a small work of art I still can't quite believe is mine. The bell chimes as I enter, and I'm hit with the familiar scent of vanilla, butter, and cinnamon. Home. This place has become home in a way I never expected. There she is. Leah calls from behind the main counter, where she's boxing up an order of cinnamon rolls. How'd it go at the library? Perfect. Grace loved them, and the setup looked beautiful. I hang my coat on the hook by the door. I finally got a chance to talk to Lydia. She seems really sweet. Oh, Lydia. Hazel Elliott's voice carries from her usual corner table, where she sits with a cup of cocoa and that knowing smile she always wears. Such a lovely girl. A bit quiet, but then, some of the best people are. She gives me a pointed look, and I can't help but smile back. She's helping Walt with the Christmas choir, Hazel continues, taking a delicate sip of her cocoa. Organizing all the music and such. Very efficient, that one. So I gathered. I moved to the Belle's Bites counter, automatically checking the display, making mental notes of what needs to be restocked tomorrow. Walt seemed very enthusiastic about the whole thing. Walt Bennett is enthusiastic about everything, Leah says with affection. But especially about Christmas. And about getting the whole town involved in celebrating it. I noticed Dorian then, emerging from the back kitchen with a pink bakery box in his hands. He's wearing the Belle's Bites apron I made him, cream with tiny cupcakes printed on it, and his hair is slightly disheveled in that way that means he's been running his hands through it while concentrating. Mrs. Miller's order, he says, setting it on the counter. 2 dozen assorted, heavy on the maple pecan like she requested. Thank you. I move to stand beside him, and he drops a casual kiss on my temple, easy and natural. 9 months, and I still get a little thrill every time he does that. How was the library? He asks. Good. I'll tell you later. I glance at the clock. Has it been busy this afternoon? Steady. He starts wiping down the already clean counter, a nervous habit I've learned to recognize. Nothing we couldn't handle. We make a good team, Leah says, joining us at Belle's Bites corner. Your cupcakes bring in new customers, Dorian charms them with his coffee expertise, and I get to bask in the reflected glory of you both. That's not how it works, I protest, but I'm smiling. That's exactly how it works. She surveys the display cases with satisfaction. Look at this place. A year ago, we were doing fine. Now we're thriving. And it's because you took a chance, Belle. Because you believed in yourself enough to try. You pushed me into it, I remind her. I gave you a nudge. You did the rest. Hazel rises from her table, bringing her empty cocoa mug to the counter. Speaking of trying new things, are either of you planning to join the Christmas choir? I don't know. Maybe. The idea still makes me nervous, but not in the paralyzing way it would have last year. Singing in front of people is different from baking for them. Not so different, Hazel says. Both require courage, but it's worth doing even when it scares you. She has a point, as Hazel usually does. Think about it, she continues, pulling on her coat. The first rehearsal is next week. No pressure, but, her eyes twinkle. It would be lovely to have you there. And Lydia would appreciate a friendly face, I think. After she leaves, the bakery settles into the comfortable quiet of late afternoon. Leah starts her closing routine in the main kitchen while I restock the Belle's Bites display, and Dorian handles the last few customers who trickle in for end-of-day purchases. Hard to believe it's almost been a year, Leah says, emerging from the back with her coat. Since the bake-off. Since all of that. She doesn't need to specify what that means. We all remember. The competition, the heartbreak, the growth. It feels like a lifetime ago, I say quietly. And also like yesterday. That's how the good years feel. Leah squeezes my shoulder as she passes. All right, I'm heading out. You two lock up? We've got it, Dorian assures her. After Leah leaves, I continue my closing routine. I spend the next 45 minutes wiping down surfaces, checking inventory, and making notes for tomorrow. Dorian moves around me with practiced ease, our movements synchronized from months of working side by side. You're quiet, I observe, watching him unnecessarily reorganize the napkin holder. Everything okay? Everything's perfect. But his voice has that slight edge of nervousness that makes me look at him more carefully. Dorian. Actually, before we finish closing. He reaches under the counter and pulls out a single white box. One of my Belle's Bites boxes, with the careful ribbon I tie on every order. I made something for you. My heart skips. You made something? Well, made is generous. Assembled, maybe. He sets the box on the counter between us. Open it? My hands shake slightly as I untie the ribbon. My ribbon, the one I've tied on hundreds of boxes, now coming undone to reveal something meant just for me. I lift the lid. Inside is a single cupcake. Chocolate cake with vanilla buttercream, swirled with more care than skill. And piped across the top in slightly uneven script is "Marry Me?" The world narrows to just this moment. The cupcake. The words. Dorian's nervous face. Belle. His voice is soft, steady despite the nerves I can see in his eyes. I know we've talked about this. About future plans and where we're heading and all of that. But I wanted to do this right. To ask properly. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small velvet box, opening it to reveal a ring. It's simple, elegant, with a single diamond that catches the afternoon light. 9 months ago, you taught me what it means to truly see someone. Not who you want them to be, not who you think they should be, but who they actually are. He takes a shaky breath. You taught me that loving someone means trusting them. Supporting them without overshadowing them. Celebrating their victories without needing to be the hero of their story. Tears blur my vision, but I can still see him clearly. The man who learned to step back. Who withdrew from a competition so I could shine. Who loves me exactly as I am. You're the bravest person I know, Belle. Not loud brave. Quiet brave. The kind that shows up even when it's terrifying. The kind that stays true to yourself even when the world wants you to be different. His hand trembles slightly as he holds out the ring. And I want to spend the rest of my life being brave enough to deserve you. To love you the way you deserve to be loved. So, his voice catches. Maribelle Hartley, will you marry me? Yes. The word comes out choked with tears, but certain. Absolutely certain. Yes, Dorian. Yes. His smile breaks like sunrise as he slides the ring onto my finger. It fits perfectly. And then he's around the counter, pulling me into his arms, kissing me like I'm precious and perfect and exactly enough. When we finally break apart, both laughing through tears, I look at the cupcake with its frosted proposal. You practiced the piping, I say, noticing the careful loops, the slight wobbles that show effort and care. 4 hours. He brushes a tear from my cheek with his thumb. Leah let me use the kitchen after closing last night. I went through about 20 cupcakes before I got one that didn't look completely terrible. It's perfect. Better than perfect because it's yours. I kiss him again, softer this time. Though I have to say, proposing with a cupcake? Very on brand for us. I thought about something more traditional. The waterfall, maybe, or some fancy restaurant in Asheville. He pulls me closer. But this felt right. Here, in the bakery where you built your dream. Where we both found ourselves. Where we learned what it means to really love someone. It's perfect, I whisper, looking around at Belle's bites. All of it. This place, this moment, you. Not as perfect as you. He rests his forehead against mine. So, any thoughts on when? Where? Sometime next year. Maybe spring? When everything's blooming? The ideas start flowing, easy and natural. Outside somewhere. Simple and intimate. Just us and the people we love. Whatever you want, as long as I get to call you my wife at the end of it. We stand there in the golden afternoon light, planning and dreaming between kisses, the cupcake with its frosted proposal sitting on the counter between us. Outside the window, something makes me glance up. The first tiny flakes of snow are falling. Look, I breathe, pointing. Dorian follows my gaze and smiles. First snow. A little early, isn't it? A little. I watch the flakes drift past the window, catching the last of the afternoon light. But maybe it's a good sign. A promise that winter's coming, and this time you'll face it as my fiancé, he finishes. And next winter, as my wife. The words settle warm in my chest. A year ago, I was terrified of being seen. Convinced I wasn't enough. Certain that my quiet way of being in the world didn't count for much. Now I'm standing in my own business, wearing an engagement ring, planning a future with someone who sees me clearly and loves me anyway. Not despite my quietness, but because of it. Not despite my careful way of moving through the world, but because he learned to appreciate it. Should we eat that? Dorian asks, nodding toward the cupcake. We should probably save it. Take a picture, at least. Very practical. But he's already breaking it in half, offering me the piece with Mary piped on it. To us. To quiet love and steady courage and building something beautiful together. To us, I echo, taking the cupcake. The chocolate is rich and perfect, the buttercream sweet and smooth. It tastes like home and promise and forever. The end. This has been The Christmas Cupcake. Written by Susanne Ash. Copyright 2025 by Susanne Ash. Production copyright 2025 by Susanne Ash. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe if you want me to put more of my books on YouTube. Visit my website at www.susanneash.com for more of my books or find me on Amazon.